The rest of America wanted to
But I said, if you gave me Mahomes, if you gave me Lamar Jackson with his great legs and Mahomes' great arm, or you gave me Baker Mayfield, who would I want? I would want Baker Mayfield, and the reason why is because Baker Mayfield.
I really think that now this is the worst case scenario for the San Francisco 49ers is that they're going to have to cut ties with Jimmy Garoppolo if I were them. What? Oh my God! Wow, man!
In any event, Kyle Gibson is definitely my NL Cy Young Award winner. Rock on, Gibson. And even
no way!
Oh my God!
It's been a while, guys, since we all three did a show here. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing well, Loro and Ben. It's great to see you guys, man. Wow, what a week it's been in sports. I mean, the NBA playoffs have been absolutely insane, and Darvin Ham finally got fired. Loro and I are free from that incompetent coach right there. My wishes came true, so I was so happy about it. In fact, Ben and Loro, during I think it was Thursday and Friday when we kind of knew the news was going to come down, I worked at 4 a.m. and from 4 a.m. until my shift ended at 11 a.m., I was on my phone just kind of refreshing Twitter. Did Darvin Ham got fired yet? Did Darvin Ham got fired yet? Because it was like to the point where I feared that if, let's say, this news like this lasted a couple more days or weeks, that he could come back somehow, that he somehow, some way, persuaded management to bring him back. So for it to come down right after my shift, I was absolutely thrilled, and I can't wait to talk about that. And I know there's rumblings that Mason Miller might get traded from the A's. I can't wait to unleash about that. But yeah, it's a great week of sports, and I can't wait to talk to you guys all about that.
And Ben, how's it going?
It's been good. It's the old gang's back together, and I couldn't be any more happy about that. It's feel like it's been a long time since we've all been back, and it's good to be back. And it couldn't be any more back to see that, man, I had a great-ass weekend, starting with the Boston Bruins, Game 7 of hockey playoffs. For those that don't know, they almost blew a 3-run lead back-to-back, which has never happened only in hockey, but in history in sports. So my heart essentially on Saturday was at a complete all-timer. I mean, when they score that overtime winner, my house specifically, I screamed so loud. Like, my parents definitely heard me, whatever and shit. Yeah, I was just going absolute ape shit. I couldn't believe it. Absolutely intense game. And for people that don't like hockey, watch playoff hockey. I guarantee you're not going to regret it. And also, too, the Celtics. The Celtics are moving on as well, too. They are currently going to be playing the Cleveland Cavaliers, as we found out today, against the Magic. They had a very good series. I'm really excited about this series. We'll talk about some of the NBA series down the stretch here. So that was great. And Tom Brady, the roast was absolutely phenomenal on Netflix. I couldn't be any more proud of it. And speaking of the GOAT, I'll be at his Hall of Fame ceremony in June. And that's going to be absolutely incredible to be at. So I'm doing great, guys. And also, too, the Red Sox are hanging around there. So, can't complain too much right now. So, like I said, it's great to have the game back on here and talk some sports.
let's talk about the Lakers first, Isaiah. I mean, the news that happened on Friday that the Lakers decided to fire Darvin Ham after 2 seasons, and the Lakers season ended last Monday night as the Lakers suffered another heartbreaking defeat to the Denver Nuggets. Jamal Murray hit another incredible fadeaway game-winning jumper with 3.8 seconds left to go, and that gave the Denver Nuggets a Game 5 win, 108-106, and they sent the Lakers home for the second consecutive year. I mean, my thoughts on this, guys, is that the Lakers – I was just done with the Lakers since their Game 3 loss. The way they played Game 3 was pathetic. Like, I was like, if they lost Game 3, it made me be ready to just stick to the Dodgers, just focus fully on the Dodgers if that were to happen, just because the Lakers were just atrocious, and the Lakers just don't know how to win against the Denver Nuggets. But I just felt like I was just done with them in Game 3. What were your thoughts, Isaiah, on this series with the Lakers? Because I was particularly done with the Lakers since Game 3.
Well, this series made me look like a fool because during the when the Lakers had a 20-point lead against the Pelicans in that play-in game, and even before that game when they were slated to play the Pelicans in that play-in game, I was out here clamoring, I want Denver. Give me Denver. I don't care. Give me Denver. I want that revenge and that rematch. And Jamal Murray in games 2 and games number 5 made me look like an absolute fool, hitting back-to-back, game-winning jumpers over the Lakers. And yeah, I was like you, Loro. After game 3, I was just done. Like, I think I went on a show with my guys, Big Baby Jonathan and Freddie Henderson, and we talked about the Lakers, and I said, plain and simple, that Darvin Ham, don't even let him coach Game 4. Fire him after Game 3. Don't even let him coach Game 4 because he was just making really stupid decisions after stupid decisions after stupid decisions, and I think he single-handedly cost the Lakers the series. AD was phenomenal. LeBron was great. Reeves and Russell, they struggled in the first couple of games, but then they finally stepped up. But yeah, that series just broke my heart because I felt like the Lakers were so close and yet so far, and they should have won that series, or they should have at least pushed the Denver Nuggets to 6 or 7 games. Because if we had not squandered a 20-point lead in Game 2, we win that Game 2, it's 1-1 going back to LA. I think you see the guys show a better effort in game number 3. And then, they won Game 4. It feels like they were going to win Game 5. Like, the Lakers had the lead in every single one of these games. And I think they had a double-digit lead in every single one of these games. And for them to lose 4-1, it was really just heartbreaking and really sad to see, because you just thought to yourself, like, yeah, the Lakers, they should have won this series, but they let Denver off the hook. And I know we'll talk about Darvin Ham in a bit, but yeah, I was done. I was like you, Laurel. I was done with the Lakers after Game 3. I was like, I'm going to focus on the A's. I'm going to focus on the Phillies. I'm going to focus on baseball. I'm done with the Lakers because they gave such a pathetic effort in the second half of Game 3. I mean, D'Angelo Russell had 0 points in game number 3. And this is the problem I have with D'Angelo Russell. You have 0 points in game 3. You're shooting 0 for 10 from the field. And then you decide when you're down by 9 to try to shoot a 40-footer. Like, who pulls up from near half court? Like, and of course, he only hit like the front rim with that shot. He didn't even come close to hitting it. And I think I said on that show with Freddie and Jonathan that D'Angelo Russell should have not only gotten benched, but he should have gotten thrown out of the arena for that. I mean, that was such a despicable shot, man. Like, I couldn't even believe he shot that shot. And for Darvin Ham to go like, oh, Denver is such a big team. Okay, they're a big team. Then why are you going small? Like, why are you going small and you're out here wondering, oh, I don't know why Denver's getting so easy baskets on us. You know why, Sherlock? It's because they're 5 inches taller than us. Of course they're going to get easy buckets on us. It's like a 12-year-old playing against a 4-year-old. Of course a 12-year-old would get easy buckets on the 4-year-old, man. And then, like, the other thing I had an issue with is game 2, Anthony Davis is dominating. We're giving the ball to Anthony Davis in the paint, and he's dominating. And then in the second half, the Lakers had a 20-point lead, and we're doing the same thing. Darvin Ham decides to go away from that game plan and to put everybody by the 3-point line. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, the game plan is working, and then you decide to switch it, and you're trying to be like Greg Popovich, trying to outsmart everybody. Well, you outsmarted yourself, and we ended up losing that game. So, yeah, I mean, just frustration at Darvin Ham, frustration at Rob Pelinka for not getting another big man. Frustration at, Russell for struggling. That's who Russell is. I mean, he doesn't show up in the playoffs. And also Rui. I don't know what happened to Rui. And then the other guys like, Cam Reddish didn't show up. Jared Vanderbilt, Christian Wood. They were all activated for games 3 and 4 and 5, and Darvin Ham didn't play them. Like, you needed size. You said Denver's a big team, so you don't play Christian Wood. Instead, you stay with Taurean Prince, who's 5 inches shorter than Nikola Jokic, and you had Taurean Prince guard Jokic at one point. Like, I'm glad Darvin Ham is gone, fellas. But yeah, I like you, Laurel. I was done with the Lakers after Game 3. It just broke my heart that they lost that series, and yeah, I can't wait to see who the next coach is, and can't wait to get into the Ham firing once Ben gives his thoughts.
Yeah, what are your thoughts, Ben, on this Lakers series against the Denver Nuggets?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not a Laker fan, but anytime the Lakers get bounced, it's always a beautiful feeling to see as a Celtics fan. But all jokes aside, I watched obviously a lot of these games, and it wasn't like the Lakers were getting blown out, which I think that, in the past, they really kind of died down. They would have kind of laid down specifically after Denver would kind of get their leads up and back. But I got to give credit where credit's due with the Lakers. I mean, they really fought a lot of the games. Some of the game. I mean, obviously the Jamal Murray, the fadeaway that he had, and the first one that he had was absolutely insanity. And then obviously the last game. I mean, I knew for a fact specifically that he made some really clutch baskets specifically, but this is obviously why in sports, guys, is you need to have coaching when it matters most. And essentially, when you look at a guy like Darvin Ham, I mean, Darvin Ham was getting heat so badly during the regular season. And just essentially, Laker fans, essentially included you guys, are probably thinking, well, the playoffs are going to come around, and this is where essentially you're going to get exposed. You're going against one of the best teams in basketball, especially against our very good coach, Mark Malone. We're just the defending champs. And it's just like, you're just going away from adjustments. It's just like you're essentially just asking for it. You're essentially, and Isaiah, you're probably going to agree with me, he was essentially trying to lose the job more essentially than trying to gain the job, because you essentially just don't, keep your adjustments specifically during a game that might be working. I mean, heck, if Joe Mazzulla was doing that for my Celtics, I'd be going apeshit on him. And obviously I criticize Joe a lot. But I will say specifically is, you have a roster with LeBron, you have a roster with Anthony Davis, and you got some pieces around. I mean, I will criticize here and there. I did feel like at times the supporting cast for the Lakers did kind of get stagnant, and there was some times that players just didn't show up enough, whether it was D'Angelo Russell, whether it was Austin Reeves, whether it was Spencer Dinwiddie, whether there was Gabe Vincent. There was just some guys that just, against a team like Denver, you need to have everybody be able to perform at their best, and they just weren't. And like I said, the reason why the Lakers were able to compete was the presence of how good LeBron and Anthony Davis were. So that pretty much was it. And like I said, the Lakers specifically, and I know you guys said you were done after Game 3, I tip my cap because even though that they lost in 5, they essentially played a very competitive series. It's not like I look at it specifically like, they looked awful the whole entire time. They competed. And essentially, sometimes you just go against a better team with a better coach. And I think for you guys specifically, not only, you guys lost the series, but you won at the same time because you got rid of a coach that is not specifically going to be there to help you in the long term. And now you look at a guy like LeBron James, who's going to be a free agent this offseason. I bet there were so many guys specifically that a lot of Laker players didn't want Darvin Ham back. And you see specifically right in this certain situation that he's not back anymore. And I know in the past, Isaiah was talking about, I think it was on a short video that he had after the last against the Nuggets. He said, Rob Pelinka should get some heat as well, too. I agree with him. I mean, this Laker team specifically has not won a championship in how long? They haven't won in a long, long time, honestly. And essentially, this is a big-time market just like New York, just like Boston. Pressure to win is now. And essentially, you got LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and essentially, you look at a team like Denver, they're not going away for any time soon. You look at a team like Minnesota, they're an up-and-coming type team. I don't know, maybe Phoenix specifically, they might break things up, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the West is still stacked. And unless specifically go out and get somebody else like a star, the Lakers specifically are going to be in the same exact boat if you don't get the right coach and you don't get more talent around them. Simple as that.
Anyways, guys, we're going to talk about following the Lakers' disappointing end to the season. They also fired Darvin Ham after 2 years. He went 90-74 in 2 seasons, 2 playoff appearances, 1 Western Conference Finals appearance. But his tenure was filled with rumors of players not trusting him and listening to Coach Ham and his coaching staff calling their own plays. I mean, I think what went wrong with Darvin Ham being fired, guys, is I kind of think the in-game adjustments was not necessary because there were some games that I watched and I was like, why are you changing things up when you know it's working? And I also think that his coaching philosophy really didn't mesh with this team because I think that the Lakers, they're an old team, and I think they were better off with an experienced head coach, and this is going to be our next head coach in the last 2 to 3 seasons. And I also felt like we should have not hired Darvin Ham in the first place because Frank Vogel didn't deserve to get fired because Frank Vogel was scapegoated because he made a decision to make the front office happy. If he had to bench Russell Westbrook, then he would have stayed, but he essentially did not. Russell Westbrook led to the Frank Vogel firing. And for Darvin Ham, I mean, I thought he was the right coach when he took the Lakers to the conference finals. That's what made me believe that. But I just feel like that this year, all the players just gave up on Darvin Ham, and they've checked out on him. They were basically didn't play hard for him. I feel like LeBron James and Anthony Davis are going to have a big say on who their next head coaches and who they want because I think LeBron James and Anthony Davis want a veteran head coach in the building.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on it, Loro, is as a fellow Laker fan, I'm not shocked. I think everybody knew this was coming, right? Like, you would have been not following basketball or even watching basketball if you didn't know this was coming because, from what happened in February, and it goes back to when the Lakers played the Miami Heat. You guys remember that? Where it was in Miami, the Lakers didn't have any solutions for the Miami Heat's zone defense. And everybody was frustrated. The Lakers, I think, lost that game by like 25 points. They were on a 4-game losing streak, and you could tell things were bad. Like, it was really bad. And then Shams Charania came out with an article later on that, Darvin Ham, his seat is heating up. Players don't like his rotations and lineups and everything like that. And so I thought like once that article came out, like I thought the players checked out on Darvin Ham. That's why I think like Ben, I was on your show kicking it with Cruz in February, and I think I said that Darvin Ham should be let go like at that time in February because the players quit on Darvin Ham in February. So I'm not surprised that he got fired. I would have been shocked if he didn't get fired. This was coming. I think what went wrong for Darvin Ham is, number one, the players just quit on him. I mean, he was doing things that like he was doing a lot of extra tinkering that you don't do. Like, that lineup that took you to the Western Conference Finals last year, Russell, Reeves, Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. Darvin Ham, for some reason, did not start that lineup at the beginning of the season and also in the middle of that season. So it's like that lineup took you to the Western Conference Finals. They gelled together. They have excellent chemistry together. Why are you not starting them? Why are you starting like Reddish and Torian Prince and some of these other guys that you're trying to like do all this extra tinkering? It's like, why? When you know that lineup works, so it makes no sense. And then, like you mentioned, Laurel, just messing up the game plan when he doesn't have to, when things are working, changing things up, doing like lacking common sense. Like, Denver has a big team, then why are you going small? Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. And also, for Darvin, it was also like throwing everybody under the bus. I still can't believe he said this, guys, after Game 5. He told Bleacher Report that when he was talking about the season, he said, yeah, I'm getting criticism for my rotations and everything, but when my players, my star players and my starting lineups, my players are out here shitting the bed, what am I supposed to do? Like, you don't say that, dude. You don't say that when you're a head coach. Like, you don't throw your players under the bus like that. So, just a lot of issues with Darvin. I don't think he should have been hired to begin with. I think the Lakers should have gone with a veteran coach to begin with, because you don't hire a rookie coach to coach a championship level team. Like, that never works out. Like, remember when the Bucks hired Adrian Griffin to coach the Bucks? Like, that never worked out. He was fired, I think, after 43 games. So I'm not surprised. I'm glad he's gone. He was just incompetent. I thought he should have been gone last year, and the Lakers should have gone like Doc Rivers or Nick Nurse or some of those accomplished coaches. But fellas, get ready for this. In terms of who I think should replace Darvin Ham as the new head coach for the Lakers, I got a couple of candidates. Number one, if Ty Lue becomes available, you go out and get Ty Lue, because he is one of the best X's and O's coaches in the game. He's got a lot of great relationships with the players out there. So I think Ty Lue would be a great coach for the Lakers. The other coach on my list is, I would honestly think about bringing back Frank Vogel if he gets fired by Phoenix, because he's a good, defensive coach. He's a good X's and O's coach, veteran coach, would be able to help this veteran team. Mike Budenholzer, also, because he's a guy, and I know, Laurel, you were talking about him off the air. I think he would be good for the Lakers. Mark Jackson is another one. I just don't want any more of these like first-time rookie head coaches. Like JJ Redick, please no. Like, I'm not saying JJ can't coach, but I'm just saying, like, if you put JJ Redick coaching the Lakers like that, I think that would be a disaster, because he doesn't have any head coaching experience, and he would be essentially like Darvin Ham. So I don't think that would be a good idea. And the final couple of candidates I got for you fellas is very, very interesting. So make sure you guys buckle up for this. The first one on my list is this guy right here. I know he's retired, but Coach K, you're the Los Angeles Lakers. You are one of the best franchises and iconic franchises in all of sports. Go get Coach K for a couple of years. Have JJ Redick as a lead assistant under Coach K, and he can take over when Coach K retires. Coach K's got LeBron and AD. You got a legit shot to win a championship. He's got relationships with both LeBron and AD. Like, it would make a lot of sense. And LeBron James and Anthony Davis and all your stars would listen to Coach K. So I think that would make a lot of sense. And then the other one on my list, and I don't know if this is going to happen, probably not. But I'm waiting for the picture to load, but right here, Gino Auriemma. I mean, because he's got a relationship with LeBron and AD as well. LeBron respects him. Why not bring him in for a couple of years until LeBron finishes his career? Because you need a guy that LeBron listens to and will be able to trust. And also, this is Los Angeles. You need a guy that can handle the big time moments. And Gino Auriemma is a championship coach who has coached in big moments and won a lot of championships. So he's not going to be like Darvin Ham and screw up on the biggest and brightest stage. And then the last candidate I have is, I know I said I didn't want the first-time head coaches, but if you can get this guy, this is going to be an exemption, and that is Todd Golden of Florida. This guy is regarded as the next great coach in college basketball. He's a very young coach, but he's a very innovative offensive coach. He's got a very innovative defensive scheme as well. So that's what the Lakers need. They need a guy that is good with X's and O's and can, match up against Mike Malone and some of those great coaches in the NBA that have a really good offense and a really good defense. And Todd Golden fits that. And a lot of people in college say he might be the next Eric Spoelstra out here. So I think if you can get him, that would be great. LeBron doesn't have a relationship with him, but LeBron will listen to a guy who's very smart and is very, very good at what he does. And Todd Golden is very, very good at what he does. So I think the Lakers should honestly bring him in. And, those are some of the candidates I would want as Lakers head coach.
For me, Isaiah, who I want, I'm not going to pick Coach K and Gino Auriemma because Coach K is retired. He came from my favorite college basketball team in Duke. And then Gino Auriemma, I like where he is at UConn. So my list is it's short, but I kind of want experience. But my first choice who I want is Phil Handy because I think LeBron James and Anthony Davis will listen to Phil Handy because Phil Handy's very good at developing players. He's been around the game for a long time, a very well-accomplished assistant coach that I think deserves an opportunity to coach a team like the Lakers. And Phil Handy, I think even though Phil Handy was let go by the Lakers, he could very well get an interview. Who knows? But the person I really want to coach the Lakers is Mike Budenholzer because Mike Budenholzer is a no-nonsense guy. I feel bad for him that he got fired and scapegoated in Milwaukee. I think Mike Budenholzer would be a great fit for the LeBron James and Anthony Davis led Lakers because I think he could lead them to at least 2 to 3 championships under his leadership because Mike Budenholzer is a championship caliber coach. And I would like to see him I would like nothing but Mike Budenholzer to come back, but I'm also going to put Mark Jackson in there too because that man deserves another shot at being a head coach because he got scapegoated in Golden State. He should have not gotten fired in the first place. I hope the Lakers interview Mark Jackson, but for me, it's between Mike Budenholzer and Phil Handy, Isaiah.
Didn't Handy get let go, by the way, on Friday?
He did.
They let go of their whole entire assistant coaching guys on their staff.
No, I'm saying you never know. Phil Handy might get an interview too with the Lakers.
Yeah, he might. LeBron likes him. Another guy before you go, Ben, is Juwan Howard. I honestly would not be shocked if he gets an interview because here's why. If you search up LeBron James and Juwan Howard on the internet, what do you get? You get Juwan Howard holding LeBron James and carrying him off the court because he had cramps in game 1 of the 2013 NBA Finals. And also, Rob Pelinka was roommates with Juwan Howard at Michigan. And the Lakers have been pursuing Juwan Howard for so long. I think they offered him the job like twice in the last 6 years. So I honestly would not be shocked if he gets an interview for the Lakers, maybe even gets offered the job. Who knows? So I could see that. But let me also say this before you go, Ben, is Rob Pelinka needs to do a press conference to address this firing. Like, you got to come out and answer to the fans as well as the media for what happened this season. Like, you saw that, your team could not beat Denver. You cannot, you didn't get another big, you didn't trade the picks. Like, you're making another head coaching change. Like, Rob Pelinka's got to answer to the fans. I want to hear from Rob Pelinka about this move and about this season and where it all went wrong and what's your plan to fix this, because Laker fans need clarification from Rob Pelinka. So that's what I want to hear from Rob Pelinka either tomorrow or in the coming weeks about this decision.
Yeah, and Ben, who do you want as the Lakers' next head coach? What did you think went wrong this season, and what do you want the Lakers to do this offseason to get back into championship contention?
Well, they have to figure out in terms of their direction, like Isaiah mentioned. Obviously, uh, in terms of LeBron James's future, that's obviously massive. Think specifically he's going to stick around. That's been kind of the latest rumblings, at least that I've been reading the last couple of days. But they need to find the great coach, and I think that Budenholzer is a good one. Watch out for Doc Rivers. I don't know specifically if Doc Rivers is going to stay with Milwaukee long term, and as much as he's kind of been criticized and he's had his criticism for, I mean, I don't think that the Lakers specifically are going to go out and go at a college type coach specifically. I think it's going to be more of a either in-house or a guy that's been kind of a veteran type of NBA coach that could be still out there. I wouldn't be opposed to also them looking at Monty Williams. I think Monty Williams might just need to change the scenery too. I know that obviously with the Pistons, they're just a younger team. Monty, obviously, when you looked at him with the Suns, they had him in the finals specifically. So I don't think specifically Monty Williams is an awful coach. I just think that he was in an awful situation in Detroit. So I think that there could be some potential options there. Unfortunately, Isaiah with Juwan Howard, he's already taken a job as an assistant coach of the Brooklyn Nets. So he's going to be essentially off the board there.
Actually, Ben, I hate to cut you off, but even though he did take an assistant job, if he gets offered the head coaching job, I think he can take it, right? Because it's a promotion technically.
I don't know. I mean, that's a really good question. And obviously, too, Frank Vogel. I like Isaiah, obviously, out of your whole entire list. I think that's one of the ones that I take a look at the most because Vogel really wasn't their issue. It was just a matter of he got scapegoated. And that happens to a lot of franchises where, something kind of goes wrong and then they get the boot specifically when it shouldn't even be on them. Especially if the Suns have a massive teardown. I wouldn't see specifically that they keep Frank Vogel around either. And I think that LeBron really liked Vogel around, and Anthony Davis did too. So, but I think really in all respects, guys, anything at this point is an upgrade from Darvin Ham. I just think he was that bad specific as a head coach that, heck, I mean, you could put, probably Monty Williams, who essentially did not do great at all last year, and he'd be a total massive upgrade over what they have right now. So, like you said, I mean, you guys got your wish despite obviously the first round exit. And now it's just about in terms of your roster building and finding the right coach.
And then I'll ask you this, Isaiah. I'll ask you, what do you think the Lakers need to do to this offseason to get back into championship contention? I kind of think, for me,
I can't wait to hear this.
I think that they should get a big man because I don't want Anthony Davis playing center. I want him to play the 4. That way, that center that we get is 7 foot. You start him, and then you put Anthony Davis at the 4, LeBron at the 3, and then Reeves at the 2, and then maybe you get a Trae Young to pair with Austin Reeves.
Yeah, I think, number one is hire the right guy as the coach. Honestly, if I was running the Lakers, I would get rid of Pelinka because I think Pelinka is a big problem. I don't like the moves that he's made ever since we won the championship. And guess who's available out there as a potential president of basketball operations? Bob Myers. You have Bob Myers available, so you could go out and throw a lot of money and go get Bob Myers. So that's what I would do. But I don't think Jeannie Buss is going to do that, sadly, because she always likes to keep things in the family. I also think that getting the right coach is very important. So we'll see who they get. But in terms of like the personnel moves, you got to get a third star. Enough with the we want the depth and all of that stuff. Like the problem with the depth is the depth doesn't show up in the playoffs. And we've seen that the last couple of years when we went to the Western Conference Finals and also this year in the first round. So it's time to get another star. Whether it's Trae Young or Donovan Mitchell, if he gets requests out of Cleveland, we have 3 first-round picks, so we could trade 3 first-round picks and a bunch of players and go get a third star. I think it's very important to do that. And hear me out, fellas. If the Phoenix Suns, they are a big wild card in this. If the Phoenix Suns decide to tear it down, go get this guy right here. Come on. Go get Devin Booker. If Devin Booker is available, you go do whatever you take to go get Devin Booker because he is that good of a player and he is that great of a superstar. And I think imagine him with LeBron and AD where you have Anthony Davis in the paint clogging it up. You have LeBron driving to the paint clogging it up. That's why shooters work well with LeBron James because they're always open. Devin Booker would knock all those open threes down that he gets, and he would average like 35 points a game. So if he's available, you go ahead and go get Devin Booker. But I think, like you said, Loro, it's very important to get a third star, whether it's Trae Young, whether it's Devin Booker, whether it's Donovan Mitchell. They got to go get a third star this offseason. I think they also got to get more shooting. Like if Klay Thompson is willing to take less, I would also go out and get him too because I think he would be lethal next to LeBron. I mean, just look at Ray Allen next to LeBron. He was absolutely lethal for the Miami Heat. So got to consider him and also like get another big, and I mean a physical big that can pair next to Anthony Davis because you got to shape your roster to try to beat Denver and Minnesota, and those two teams have two dynamic big men in the middle. So you got to get another dynamic big next to Anthony Davis to help him out. And I think also bring Dwight Howard back because he has shown that he can shut down Nikola Jokic as well as Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. So I would do those things if I'm the Lakers. And I think that those things are very important this summer for the Lakers if they want to get back to championship contention.
And what about you, Ben? What do you think the Lakers need to do this summer? Can't hear you.
Sorry, I was on mute. They have to obviously take a look at their coaching situation first. See in terms of who they get in, because obviously he'll bring specifically his own staff, especially if they already fired a lot of their assistants. I do agree with Isaiah. It's at a third star. I probably want to go like the Suns route. I think they have to probably go a big specifically or like a swing 3-and-D guy. Watch out for the Bulls. I think DeMar DeRozan would be excellent fit with the Los Angeles Lakers. He averages about 14, 16 points a game. He's a very unselfish type player. He plays really good essentially down near the basket, and his mid-range game is absolutely deadly. So I think specifically a guy like him, you won't have to really break the bank for him compared to some other guys, like a guy like Paul George or a James Harden type. But I do think that the Lakers are going to be one of those teams that are going to try to get a extra star. Another guy to look out for is Nicholas Claxton. I think that he'll be a really good fit for the Lakers. He's not a massive massive guy specifically, but he's a massive big man that could definitely block shots. He's really good around the rim as well too. He's not a great free throw shooter, but I do think that he really fits the overall scheme that they would have there. So yeah, they just have to take a look at a couple things, and obviously to address the LeBron James situation, which they have right there. So I think it's more specifically, I mean, stars obviously matter, but when you look at big three guys, the big threes and the past guys, the Suns, for instance, specifically, when you looked at it on paper with Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, you wouldn't have thought they would get swept, specifically in the first round. Well, I'm not surprised because it's all about specifically your cohesion. You could have all the stars in the world, but if you can't be working together and your availability, and obviously the Clippers obviously, they had some guys that were out and hurt them. So you got to find specifically not only the right fit, but your availability is your best availability. So that's obviously something to take a look at if you're the Lakers for sure.
And then we'll talk about here. We'll get to the rest of the NBA here. We'll talk about the Celtics getting past the Miami Heat in 5 games. I mean, Ben, I bet it was bittersweet for you to hear Mike Gorman call his last game. I mean, I know that he is a Boston sports icon, along with Jack Edwards of the Boston Bruins, who also worked his final Boston Bruins telecast. I mean, what was your thoughts on that series for the Celtics to get revenge on the Miami Heat? I mean, they were without Jimmy Butler, so what are you going to do?
Right. My overreactions is I'm glad they punched them early while they can. I mean, obviously they got a certain situation where it was unfortunate that Jimmy Butler was out. It really was. And just hearing that he was hurt before the series kind of took a little bit of the overall steam of the overall revenge factor. But listen, I mean, injuries are going to happen. It's part of the game. And you still have to go against the coach specifically. That worried me Eric Spoelstra's a coach specifically that knows how to scheme the Celtics. And, the first game, obviously, the Celtics, their threes are going great. And obviously that's kind of the way that they really, play their style of basketball. And then in game two, the Heat were kind of doing the 180 of what the Celtics did. And that's essentially they had guys like Tyler Hero, Caleb Martin, Nikola Jovic, some guys specifically, even without Jimmy Butler, that gave the Celtics some issues. So I did think specifically that this series might have gone 6 at max possibly. But it kind of turned out to be a specific type of game that in terms of the Celtics, they took the personality of what the Heat did in game two and they brought it for the rest of the series. They went to Miami and only took one, but they took both. And I think essentially after game four, my trust factor of them being up 3-1 specifically, I'm like, they got it done over there because taking two down south in Miami, a really tough environment, I think really speaks volumes. And I think that Derek White, man, was phenomenal. He essentially kind of took off some of the pressure of Tatum and Brown. And Tatum and Brown, I thought, were decent. I wouldn't say that they were great in this series. But Derek White, man, I mean, he just carries so much to this team, whether it's his defense, whether it's his three-point shooting, whether it's his overall toughness. And obviously, that's obviously massive kind of going into this next series against Cleveland. So, obviously the biggest thing to worry about, of course, is Porzingis. He, of course, for those that don't know, left the game in game 4. Obviously, he was limping around. I was thinking that he was out for the remainder of the season. I'm like, no, please, this can't be, why can't Celtics fans essentially have nice things, especially after the way this roster looked? But thankfully, it sounds like it's not going to be, too much longer, specifically, especially if they get through this series. He'll probably be ready for the Eastern Conference Finals if all systems go. And I do think specifically Al Horford, too, can come in and he has the playoff experience. So obviously, it sucks that KP is going to be out. But, game 5, obviously, it was at home. And they just punched in the mouth. The Celtics were essentially just like, we're not going to remember what happened last year. We're essentially going to punch you guys out of the gym, essentially at home. And that pretty much was that. So really liked how the Celtics kind of finished off after the game 2 loss. And when you look at the terms of the Heat, obviously, without Jimmy, it really hurt them. And obviously, Hero obviously is a guy I don't think a lot of Heat fans on social media have been liking recently so far. I think a lot of people want him out. They just didn't have enough forces to really go back and forth with the Celtics. And I know that there were some times, some of the games in Miami where the Celtics had like a 20, 25-point lead, and they cut it down. They were a team, man, that would fight. Regardless of who they had on the roster, I give them credit where credit's due, man. They go out and they fight. And obviously in that game 5, even when they were up by 20, 22 points, I still wasn't feeling comfortable because they can just turn on, especially with the coaches they have there. So in terms of Miami, I think that they're still going to be a really good threat next year in the Eastern Conference, especially as long as Spoelstra's there. I expect them to probably take a look at maybe get another star with that team because I do think they really need that with Jimmy Butler regardless. And I still think the Celtics would have won the series even if Butler played. I just think specifically the Celtics this year really wanted to get the payback from last year. But we just didn't know specifically how it was going to work out now with Butler not playing. But now it's all obviously about the next challenge. And I think with the Celtics team specifically, they're ready for any type of challenge that's in their way outside potentially Denver. But we'll talk about specifically what happens in that series against Minnesota. But, Mike Gorman obviously kind of off the overall court. What an overall career, absolute legend. This guy has been to be absolutely missed, in Celtics land. It's essentially, the Lakers obviously with, kind of what they've had for many legends in the past. Obviously with the Bruins with Jack Edwards, just bittersweet moments. Obviously, this is pretty much my childhood. Obviously, Don Orsillo with the Red Sox, Jerry Remy with the Red Sox. A lot of my childhood, guys, and obviously with the Brady stuff, Boston sports, the childhood, man, just brings back so much. Even if it's in the past, you just gotta obviously, relinquish it. And I think with the Celtics, obviously, and the Bruins obviously doing their thing, this week in terms of sports, it's going to be absolutely wild. And obviously with the Celtics obviously pulling this out, it's a great start to hopefully being a very good, fun, busy summer season in Boston.
Well, I mean, Isaiah, what were your thoughts on the Celtics taking on the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler?
Not surprised because Jimmy Butler is a big part of what the Heat does. So once he got, injured in that game against the Sixers, I was like, yep, I don't even want to see the Miami Heat in the playoffs because, they don't have a shot. They need to get another star this offseason. I think that's what they really need to do. Tyler Hero, sadly, he's kind of like D'Angelo Russell, where he, when he's on, he's great, but when he's off, like he's horrific. And he doesn't show up in the playoffs. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Heat got rid of him this summer and tried to get another star. But credit to the Celtics, they took care of business. That's what they needed to. They took care of business. They got it done. But for Boston, I think now you got to I think for Boston, their attention is not needed on the Heat or even the Cavs because I think they're going to get that series done easily. It's got to be on the New York Knicks. That's your ultimate competition in the Eastern Conference. Like Miami without Butler scares nobody, sadly. Then the Cavs just got taken to Game 7 against the Magic. So your focus got to be on the New York Knicks because I think the New York Knicks are going to be the toughest competition for Boston in the Eastern Conference. And, Tom Thibodeau knows the Celtics from his days in Boston. He's a very good defensive coach. So we'll see what happens. But credit to the Celtics. They took care of business. They didn't panic when they were tied 1-1 in that series, going to Miami for games 3 and 4. I thought the Celtics would get spooked a little bit, but credit to them, they didn't. And we'll see what happens. But I think Miami this summer, they got to get another star because Jimmy Butler, he's getting older. He can't do it by himself. You need someone to help him. And I think the Heat have to be ultra aggressive for another star.
Well, guys. Well, you talk about Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, and the T-Wolves. They swept Booker, KD, and Beal and the Suns. I mean, let's not spend time talking about this game. This was a series where I think Phoenix should have won, but the Timberwolves are a team that is just determined to get back on top. What were your guys' thoughts on this? Quick thoughts.
Yeah, my quick thoughts is simple. Devin Booker's got to get the hell out of Phoenix because you did everything in your series to will your team to victory. And, Kevin Durant showed up the final couple of games. But other than that, nobody showed up besides Devin Booker. Bradley Beal had like 9 points. Phoenix had 11 turnovers in the entire game 4. Bradley Beal had 6. Like, bro, you're getting paid $51 million to put up stats that a lot of people are clowning Austin Reeves for. Like, Austin Reeves puts up those kinds of numbers. And for you to getting paid $51 million to put up those kind of numbers, like, you should be ashamed of yourself. And we got to start talking about Bradley Beal choking in the playoffs because every time he's in the playoffs, he doesn't do anything. So I'm not surprised that I'm surprised the Wolves won this in a sweep. I was picking Phoenix. I think I had Phoenix in 6. But Devin Booker, if I'm Devin Booker, I would have gone to Matt Ishbia's office after Game 4 and said, "Trade me," because I'm not winning here. We don't have cap space or draft picks for the next 5 to 6 years. The Phoenix Suns are cooked, and I think Frank Vogel, Loro, and Ben, I think he's cooked, and I wouldn't be shocked. And in fact, I got a notification from a Phoenix Suns podcaster who's been right on a lot of stuff Phoenix Suns-wise, and he said that expect an announcement on the Phoenix Suns coaching front either tomorrow or Tuesday. So we may be getting Frank Vogel getting fired sometime soon. So I think Frank Vogel coached his last game in Phoenix, and the Phoenix Suns are cooked.
What do you think, Ben, about this Phoenix Suns team? Do you really think they're cooked?
It just comes to prove, guys, that super teams don't always work. And I think that, we've kind of seen in the past. I mean, obviously Kevin Durant with Brooklyn, essentially against the Celtics. A lot of people thought, with the big thing of Kyrie and James Harden, Kevin Durant, this is going to be this all-powerful type of team. And I look at it on paper, and I'm just like, you kind of looking in sports, guys, when you can see overall teams on paper, don't always judge it by its overall cover. And I know that's obviously a cliche thing to kind of say, but until it's proven on the court specifically, you just never know. I mean, obviously, specifically, obviously they're a good team. But when it matters most specifically, they got swept against the Timberwolves. And I think the Timberwolves are a good team. They're a younger team. Anthony Edwards is absolutely going crazy. Shout out to you, Stephen Wayne, for if you're listening. But, man, that T-Wolves team is going to be a fun team for years to come. Karl-Anthony Towns has been absolutely cooking as well. But Bradley Beal, I mean, goodness gracious, you're getting paid buttloads of money. And the thing about Bradley Beal is it's one thing if you play defense. He just does not play defense at all, which obviously is one thing I think that really, Frank Vogel specifically, it's worrisome. And really it's worrisome specifically. I mean, I think that the Suns, especially with, their cap situation, they're going to have to make some moves that can absolutely trajectory over their offseason. I do anticipate, if anything, probably Booker's going to stay. I think that he's just too valuable for them. I wouldn't rule out Kevin Durant, though. I think Kevin Durant at this point in time is looking at this situation. He's just like, heck, like he's kind of like James Harden, where he kind of views the situation and it's just like, if it's one and done or two, certain situation here and there, he'll go for that new, challenge. And, he can look at a right coaching situation too. And I just think that something's going to happen there. I know obviously it's probably going to be a coaching situation, but I do think that Bradley Beal, obviously they can't trade that contract. So he is stuck there. He is stuck there, guys, for like another 8-9 years, which the Suns are absolutely dumb as hell for. Silly me for actually having the sellers to look at Bradley Beal because I thought him and Tatum been great. Thankfully they didn't go for
Me
that.
too.
Man, that would have been a disaster. Yeah. And obviously Derek White, I'd rather prefer to have Derek White extended. Obviously, they are extended Drew Holiday. So we're pretty much set to go. But, yeah, Bradley Beal with the Suns, I mean, goodness gracious. This is why you just can't throw out money to all these type of guys because, if it doesn't work out, I mean, good luck. But give credit to the Minnesota Timberwolves, man. I mean, heck, obviously they just took the first game from the Nuggets. This is not just now a fluke anymore. And obviously we kind of clown Steve with some of his teams. Oh, they're a fluke, this and that. But, give credit where credit's due. I mean, they played the Celtics tough in the regular season. So I kind of knew about that early on. But Anthony Edwards, guys, and obviously I just kind of look at the overall NBA players of the first round. You have no Steph Curry. You have no LeBron James. You have no Kevin Durant. It's all the young guys that are flashing in terms of on the scene. And Anthony Edwards is just, oh, my goodness, he is so fun to watch. And especially when he is going, I mean, this guy's averaging 28, 30 points a game. This is essentially what Bradley Beal should be doing with the Suns. But, he's just not that good. I don't think Bradley Beal's – I think he's great, but I think he could definitely be looked as overrated. I want to be put it past that for sure. I wasn't expecting a sweep. I mean, could I have seen the Wolves obviously win the series? Of course. They're obviously one of the best teams in the West. But, yeah, this was kind of shocking. I do think that there's going to be massive changes with the Suns. Expect to trade out with one of the stars, too, with the Suns. So, we'll see.
Anyways, guys, the Cavs come back from an 18-point first half deficit, and they behind a dominant performance by Donovan Mitchell to take down a resilient Orlando Magic team that took the series 4-3 to move on to round 2. I mean, the Cleveland Cavaliers, what a story. I mean, haven't won a playoff game without LeBron James. This is a fun team. I mean, this is a team you don't want to mess with in the playoffs.
Oh, Ben, you can go first on this.
Sure. Yeah. I actually was doing this game on Playback.tv on my other show. Shout out to all my guys on the other stream for that. For those that don't know, Playback is a streaming service where essentially we're partnered with NBA League Pass, so we can watch essentially games and people can come in and watch them. So shout out to Playback for our opportunity to watch that game on there today. Yeah, it was just it was a game specifically that I think the first half, I was like, Orlando's absolutely going crazy. They're cooking. They're obviously going to be a fun team regardless in terms of how this game ended. But what a great series, first of all. And Isaiah, I think, kind of mentioned it to me when I think it was on my program or on another program we had, is that this is going to be kind of a series that a lot of people were talking about, but it's going to have a lot of great finishes. And I think we saw that in this series. We kind of just saw the young, promising team in Orlando, under they're obviously their head coach, who did really well. But obviously the Wagner guys, Franz and Mo, that's a team that, even though they lost today, should not hang their heads. This is a team specifically that definitely I think is going to make some noise. They're a really young team. They kind of remind me of kind of the OKC Thunder way, where just like they're going to start building some pieces around. I think they're going to be able to potentially find a star. Heck, they already have their star really in Paulo Banchero. I mean, he was absolutely incredible, and he wasn't the reason why they lost this game. The reason why they lost this game was because when Cleveland kind of cut it within, I believe, 10 points and 2 minutes left in the first half, and Cleveland pretty much looked like a team dead in the water in that first half. I mean, Donovan Mitchell, obviously, as ineffective as he was, obviously he was trying, but Darius Garland looked awful. Jared Allen obviously was out, so obviously that was massive. But the Cavs kind of cut in a way where they kind of made it within reach. And the biggest problem about the playoffs specifically is sometimes your youth and essentially just your inability to, the moment might be too big. And I think this is where essentially in the second half, that once the Magic started to miss some shots, the moment got too big for them. It was game 7. They started to press a little bit. Now, credit to Cleveland. Their defense played a lot better. They were starting to attack a little bit in the second half, a lot better. The first half, they were just chucking up shots left and right. But, yeah, I just thought that specifically in that late part of that first half, Cleveland started to make a little run, and I think that it kind of started to creep on Orlando in a way where I think they started to doubt themselves a bit in that second half, and they went through a decent stretch in that second half where they were not making shots. They got way too careless with the ball. Franz Wagner did not have a good game. He's supposed to be one of their massive scorers for them. So between guys that were ineffective and a little bit of their ineffectiveness in the second half, that's why Cleveland came back. And Max Strus obviously was another hero in that second half. Made a couple big time threes. Darius Garland started to make some big time plays, and I believe in that fourth quarter. So give credit to the Cavs to come back and win that game. In terms of the Celtics now against Cleveland, which game will it be on Tuesday, I do think specifically that this is a pretty good matchup for the Celtics in a way where, the Cavs obviously are a very scoring power type team. Their coaching isn't as great as Miami's, but I do think specifically that you got to worry about their scoring ability. Obviously, their playmaking ability is great. I do think specifically Jared Allen is a player to watch, obviously, if he can't go, because obviously that, the Cavs bring a lot of size. And so that's obviously something that's massive to watch. So we'll see in terms of how that series goes during this week. But I just thought that specifically that the Magic, their youth, kind of came over their heads in that second half, and that's why they end up falling up short.
Well, we lost Isaiah here, and I wanted to talk to you about Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart came up clutch as the Knicks take down the Sixers in a thrilling 6-game series to move on to round 2. And then you also talk about Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic and the Mavs going berserk on the Kawhi-less Clippers. We'll start with the Knicks here. This Knicks team is for real. The Sixers, I just didn't think they were healthy enough in this game because they had Joel Embiid out for a long time. I know that when Joel Embiid is healthy, the Sixers are a top 3 to 4 team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, great series in that one. Sixers, obviously, they just have not kind of been able to get over this hump in terms of whether it's in the first or second round of the playoffs. The Knicks, I think, just they were able to kind of overtake their demons from that Game 5. Absolute demoralizing loss when they were up by 6 points, under a minute left, even within like 30 seconds. And Tyrese Maxey hit a 3 and a 4-point play, and then he hit another 3 to tie the game within about 10 seconds. And then the Sixers obviously pulled away in that overtime. But, Jalen Brunson, obviously, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo came back in Game 6 with a vengeance. The Knicks obviously were up, I think, within 20, 25 points. The Sixers kind of came back, and they made it a game. The Knicks really made it hard for them to kind of put away this Philly team. Even though the Knicks were up 2-0 in this series, Philly came back, and I think it was 3-1 at one point. And the Sixers had a chance to be eliminated in Game 5. They found a way to came up big and had a throwing victory, and they had a chance to potentially come back and win Game 6 and force Game 7. However, the Knicks didn't want any part of that. They essentially were able to shut it down. Give credit to Tom Thibodeau, and now they obviously have a very exciting matchup ahead coming up against the Pacers.
Well, and then you also talk about Kyrie and Luka. They go berserk on the Clippers. I mean, you can't really trust Kawhi Leonard being healthy anymore.
Yeah, that was a really good series. Obviously the Magic are a really fun team. I mean, the Clippers had a really good season, I think, overall. But it just came down to just playmaking ability, and obviously Kawhi Leonard being out just did not help. I mean, him being out for the last couple of games, he is supposed to be one of your big time players, and like I mentioned with big threes and just being able to be around. Just even if it's an effectiveness specifically, obviously not working out or just not being available. And in this case specifically, the Clippers, one of their best stars, was just not available. And I think specifically the Mavericks really took advantage of that. Obviously, Kyrie Irving was phenomenal a lot of these games. Luka Doncic obviously did his thing. But the Mavericks have some other playmakers that have been doing well. They obviously had guys like Derek Lively. He came up really massive. They have just a couple other pieces off the bench. Some guys that made some timely hoops. I mean, obviously, Kleber going down. That's obviously going to be massive for them next round. But with the Clippers specifically, now they're in question about their situation over there. Does Ty Lue get let go? Paul George, obviously, he's a free agent. James Harden, he's a free agent. And then you just can't trust Kawhi Leonard anymore in terms of his health. So the Clippers could be potentially one of those teams outside the Suns world that you just see about it, and they might not be having their big three intact for next year anymore. So there's potentially another, possibility chance that they let go away, and obviously credit to the Mavericks, they're able to come up big in this overall series and find a way to move on in this one.
Well, we lost Isaiah here, so we're going to go on without him. So we talk about the Pacers taking on the Bucks. I mean, Indiana is such a fun team to watch, and the Bucks, they just played hurt. I mean, I think next year the Bucks are going to win the championship. I think Giannis and Lillard in year 2, they're going to mesh together. But the Indiana Pacers are just a fun team.
Yeah, I mean, it just sucked that Giannis got hurt. It really did, because I think specifically that I had Bucks and I think 6 or 7. But yeah, I mean, obviously Dame going down, that of course did not help. And then Middleton also went down throughout this series as well too. So that kind of put really a damper to potentially would have been an absolute classic series. But give credit to Indiana. They really, regardless of the situation, they just went out and played ball. Obviously, I think the Bucks won Game 1, but then they had a massive bounce back in Game 2, and then they were able to take some games at Indiana's place. And guys like Siakam, Halliburton, Nembhard, Nesmith, Miles Turner, obviously, they have some guys that can play. And Rick Carlisle, I think, has done a phenomenal job with that team. And I think specifically that the Pacers-Knicks series is going to go pretty much down to the distance. I think that both teams are pretty evenly matched overall, with some stars, specifically not like top tier type stars like a Kevin Durant or a Steph Curry type, but obviously you look at the Knicks, they have guys like Jalen Brunson and DiVincenzo, like obviously some pretty good time players. The Pacers obviously have Halliburton and Siakam, some kind of 1B type stars. Brunson and Halliburton and Siakam were kind of in that tier, but obviously just two teams that are really grindy, a little bit on the physical side, I'd say too. So, yeah, I think if you look at the Bucks though, just Dame obviously being ineffective here and there, but obviously Giannis is just a massive piece. I mean, him going down pretty much kind of dampers a lot. But yeah, I mean, I could see them winning next year's championship for sure. I do think, however, with Doc Rivers, I'm just not a big believer in Doc Rivers in the playoffs anymore. So regardless of if Giannis played or not, I just don't think that the Bucks are going to win the finals this year. I did think specifically maybe Eastern Conference Finals, trajectory if Giannis was playing there for sure. But they obviously came up short, and now obviously they're at the drawing board of how they can respond.
Anyways, guys, we will talk about some second round matchups and previews here. The Nuggets are taking on the Wolves. I have the Nuggets in 7 over Minnesota.
Yeah, this is gonna be a good series. Obviously in the first game in the series, the Wolves, I thought, really kind of played the way that the Nuggets didn't want to play, and obviously, as good as the Nuggets played against the Lakers, there were some times in that series that I thought the Nuggets looked very flat. They looked tight. And I think specifically, I don't know if it's pressure in terms of them trying to defend what they did last year. But this is why you have to go out and play ball. And I think that the Wolves are kind of this team, a younger type team under Chris Finch that's just going to go out and play their best ball. And they're playing at a really high level right now. And I think they got a shot to upset. I really do. I just think specifically that the Nuggets just have the experience. It's really hard to kind of take away in terms of how the Wolves played in that first game against them the other night. But, obviously with the headline of play of Anthony Edwards, if he keeps on playing this way and Towns is playing the way that he's been playing, this is going to go down the distance, I think. I think it's going to go 6. No, actually, I'm going to go 7. I think it has a distance goal the whole entire way. I'm going to stand by that point. I'm going to go Nuggets in 7. I think that this series has a lot going for both teams right now, and I think that on paper the Nuggets are the better team, but I think that competitive-wise they're pretty evenly matched. So give me the Nuggets in 7.
And what about you, Isaiah? What's your second round predictions?
All right. So let's start with the Wolves and the Nuggets. I think the Wolves are going to upset the Nuggets, actually. Like Ben mentioned, the Nuggets look very vulnerable. That series against the Lakers, they weren't very good, quite frankly. And so I'm going to go with the Wolves. The Wolves match up with them very well. 2 bigs against the Nuggets' big lineup. Then they have the guard play, the great guard play with Anthony Edwards. And also Mike Conley as well, being that veteran calming presence. So I'm going to go with the Wolves in 6, actually, over the Denver Nuggets to win that series. Did you guys already go through the other series, by the way, or have you guys not went through them yet?
We have not went through them yet.
Okay, sounds good. I'll go with Wolves over Nuggets in 6.
And then you also talk about we don't know the other series yet, so I think Knicks.
Knicks at Pacers. Knicks and Pacers. I'm
going with the Knicks, but I think the Knicks take the Pacers in 5.
Yeah, the problem with Indiana is they're not physical. They're not really good at defense, so that's really going to hurt them. Brunson and DiVincenzo, I think, are going to go off in this series. I think Miles Turner will be able to keep the Pacers afloat because the Knicks aren't very good at defending the big man shooting the 3. So I'm going to go with Knicks I'm going to agree with you. Give me Knicks in 5 over the Pacers. I think the Pacers take 1, but I think that I think New York is just too strong for Indiana.
You're right. They might be very strong for Indiana, but who knows? But can you pull up the next series that we should talk about?
Yeah, so to wrap up the Eastern Conference, the last series is we have Cavaliers versus the Boston Celtics, and Boston's got home court.
In that series, I'm going to pick the Boston Celtics. I think it's going to go as 7 for Boston.
All right, so you got Boston in 7. For me, I'm looking at this. I think this is going to be a more competitive series than a lot of people think. I think the Cavaliers slept, and they slept on the Magic. They didn't really think of the Magic too much, and that's why the Magic shocked them. So for me, the problem with Boston is losing Porzingis. You had that height advantage with Porzingis, in that you can dominate the Cavs on the inside, but now you don't have him anymore. So it's going to come down to guard play. And Tatum and Brown, the thing with Tatum and Brown is I'm always afraid of them choking in big moments. And Donovan Mitchell, he's a baller. He's going to be putting up great numbers. Darius Garland, he definitely has to step up. Max Strus, every time he plays Boston, he looks like Steph Curry out there. So I'm going to go with the Celtics, but I'm going to go Celtics in 6. I think that Boston gets a little bit more of a fight than they did from the Heat in the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then the last series of the second round is we got the Mavericks, Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic versus Chet Holmgren, SGA, and the young Oklahoma City Thunder. Who do you got, Loro?
I'm picking the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think this is a team that is just very unstoppable right now.
I'm going to go with the Mavericks. I think that the experience pays off for them. I'm going to go with, I think Luka has a big series. I think Kyrie has a big series. But also, I think guys like Dwight Powell also shine because, the Thunder have struggled on the inside. So I'm going to go Mavericks in 6 in that series. But I also could see the Thunder winning either way. So give me Mavs in 6. So, yeah, those are our second round predictions.
All right, next up, we're going to talk about baseball here. I'll start with the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers have been playing very good baseball as of late here. I mean, Shohei Ohtani's been on fire. I mean, that whole interpreter gambling thing has not really slowed down the man. But I'll tell you, I said this Dodger team is looking like they're going to win the World Series this year. I mean, after the last 2 years that we've choked in the playoffs, this is a different Dodger team that we've seen in the past.
Yeah, and Shohei looks good. He looks like he has settled down and figured it out there in Los Angeles. Evan Phillips going on the IL is definitely very concerning for me. But that Dodger lineup, I don't even think they're going to need a bullpen because they're going to be hitting so much. They're going to be scoring a lot of runs. The starting
pitching, they're going to get guys back healthy later in the season, which I think is going to help the Dodgers get to where they want to be. And they're going to get Clayton Kershaw back. They're getting Walker Buehler back tomorrow. Clayton Kershaw is not coming back till the later part of the year. And then when Clayton Kershaw comes back, you better watch out for the Dodgers.
Yeah, the Dodgers are going to be very good. So I don't expect nothing less from them. They're going to be very good.
The last 2 years, why they were bounced out in the first round against the Padres, I just felt like that we were shorthanded on pitching. The Diamondbacks last year, that was our pitching was just atrocious.
Yeah, no, and also don't forget Mookie Betts. He didn't show up in the playoffs. He went ice cold. Freddie Freeman went ice cold as well. So that's why the Dodgers did not advance. But you got Shohei now. You got Teoscar Hernandez, who's having a great year. I think the Dodgers.
Teoscar Hernandez is on a 1-year deal. I would expect the Dodgers to re-sign him next offseason, give him like a 3 or 4 year deal, but you still have that deferred money on the contract because the Ohtani contract kind of gives the Dodgers more financial flexibility.
Yeah, and don't forget Yoshinobu Yamamoto has bounced back after a rough beginning to his career. So he's been very solid for the Dodgers. Glasnow has been pretty good for the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers are going to be fine. It's just the regular season, they're going to be great. For them, it's the playoffs. Can they go to the World Series and win it? That's the big question. They're like the Boston Celtics. Like, their regular season, they're going to be great, but it comes down to how will they do in the postseason.
No, I think the Dodgers are capable of going far in the playoffs. I mean, I really think that they are, but I just feel like that the roster that we have now should get us there because I just think that the Dodgers have much better pitching than we had last year.
I agree. but also like Mookie Betts can't get into a slump in the playoffs. Freddie Freeman can't get into a slump. And also like Shohei. I mean, Shohei will be his first first postseason.
This is his first postseason, so he's gonna get some jitters at first.
At first, yeah, he will. He will.
So that's why I'm saying, because the Dodgers are built to be good for a long time because the front office puts together the best resources that we need, and we still have a very good farm system. So the Dodgers in the long term are going to be good.
I agree with you. Who do the Dodgers? What's the Dodgers' upcoming schedule, Loro?
Oh, we play the Miami Marlins for a 3-game series. We should be able to sweep them because the Miami Marlins they're just bad. They have so many injuries. They don't have Alcantara. They just traded Luis Ariz to my division rival in the San Diego Padres. That's going to make their lineup look really good. But I feel like that the Padres lineup is going to be afraid to face the Dodgers.
Yeah, you guys should easily sweep the Marlins. I think that the Marlins, we'll talk about that trade in a bit, but that was a really stupid move by the Marlins. I don't know why I don't know what the Marlins are doing
Peter Bendix. I didn't really dig Peter Bendix's comments on trading Luis Ariz. He said something like, we did this trade knowing that we're not going to make the playoffs. I'm like, that's ridiculous.
You don't say that. You can't say that.
You don't really say these type of things into the media, but Peter Bendix comes from the Rays, and Peter Bendix is about building successful farm systems, and that's what he's trying to do in Miami.
I honestly still think they shouldn't have gotten rid of Kim Ng because I thought she did a great job. She did a great job there.
The Marlins in a mess like this because the Marlins are just a putrid organization.
Yeah, they are. They are a putrid organization. But yeah, back to the Dodgers, though. I'm looking at the schedule. You guys got the Marlins for 3, which you should sweep. The Padres.
Yeah, I'm afraid he's going to get scapegoated.
He might, honestly.
It's not his fault.
No, it's not his fault, but Peter Bendix is probably going to want his own manager because he inherited Skip Schumacher. So I think he's going to be out. And sadly,
I think Peter Bendix is going to start fresh next year. He's going to start. He's going to start all over and get a new manager for next season. And and the Marlins just came off they just won game against your Oakland Athletics.
Yeah, we took 2 out
right now.
The A's took 2 out of 3 from the Marlins. We're 500.
Look, I said the Oakland Athletics were supposed to be one of the worst teams in all of baseball again, and this their final year in Oakland, they're competing.
Yeah, they're competing, which is crazy. Like our lineup, if you look at all the guys in our lineup, we're kind of like Ben's Red Sox, where we don't really have a lot of names on our team, but I don't know why that we're just competing this year. Like it makes no sense. Like our pitching staff is good.
Look, it's to make the fans happy in your last year in Oakland because you know that the Oakland A's next season they're going to be playing in Sacramento.
Yep, they're going to be playing in a minor league ballpark. They're definitely making the fans happy. People are actually going to the ballpark now. The A's are 17-18. They lost today, but yeah, look at our lineup's good.
I'm looking at the Dodgers' upcoming schedule. So they have the Marlins for 3, and then they have to go down to San Diego to play the Padres for a 3-game series and see Luis Ariz. And then they have to go to San Francisco to play the Giants. And the Giants, they're kind of up and down.
They're not a good team. I saw them on Sunday Night Baseball tonight against the Phillies. Yeah, they cannot field, they can't hit, and they can't pitch. So I don't know. Maybe Farhan Zaidi might get fired after this year because he's had a lot of time.
I mean, in my show league, the Giants were starting to play good, but now, since the first half of the season in my show league just concluded, the Giants are now 45-43, and they're probably going to collapse.
Yeah, they are going to collapse. I agree.
Well,
they are going to collapse.
This is a good team with Jorge Soler, Matt Chapman, Logan Webb. Mm-hmm. You got this talent on your roster, but it's not translating.
Guys aren't hitting, plain and simple. Matt Chapman's not hitting. He's hitting 213, I think it is. Jorge Soler's not hitting. He's got like 4 home runs. Jung-Ho Lee is very good, by the way. He is so good.
Jung-Ho Lee is, man,
Yeah.
he's going to be a special player for the Giants.
Yes, he will. He will. Mike Yastrzemski's not hitting. Yeah, they just have a lot of guys that are just proven veterans.
The Giants just don't like to spend money on big name players.
Well, they did spend a lot of money, but the problem with the Giants is that they didn't get good players. Like Matt Chapman, sadly, looks like he's declining. Blake Snell is awful for the Giants right now. He's hurt, I think.
Jordan Hicks, I think, has been a good addition.
Jordan Hicks is great, yeah.
I think Jordan Hicks is turning himself as a starter than as a reliever, because Jordan Hicks can really eat up a lot of innings as a starter.
Oh no, I agree. I think that like he's been very, very good as a starter. Yeah, I think he's been very good. But overall, like their team, they're just very mediocre right now.
Yeah, look, the Dodgers right now, after they play San Diego and their next home game will be a 4-gamer against the Reds, and I'm like, Cincinnati is scary good. You talk about L.A. De La Cruz, you talk about guys like L.A. Hunter Green, but L.A. De La Cruz not up in his sophomore year.
Yeah, L.A. De La Cruz is an absolute stud. He is very, very special. He's going to be very, very good for a long, long time.
They got to talk about Luis Arias. He's going to the Padres. The Padres are getting a very good number 2 hitter in their lineup. He could play third base. He could play first base. He could play second base. But as for the Marlins trading him, I didn't really think that was needed. That was a stupid decision by Peter Bendix, and the Marlins are one of these organizations that is just very putrid, dysfunctional. Ownership doesn't know what direction they're going in. Should have not fired Kim Nang, but I mean, Peter Bendix is doing Peter Bendix things.
Yeah, the Marlins are a terrible organization. Run by terrible people. I don't understand what they're doing. I mean, they have this young team that made the playoffs. Luzardo, Arise, Jake Berger. Like, you get rid of everybody. Like, it makes no sense. Like, you have an up-and-coming team. Laurel, they remind me of the Chicago White Sox. You remember when the White Sox had, like, Eloy Jimenez, Luis Roberts, Yohan Moncada, and all those, like, young players. And then, like, they hired the wrong manager, Tony La Russa, and then they were really bad. They got rid of all the players that they had and just ruined the vibe. That's what the Marlins remind me of. Like, you have this young team. Like, everybody's so excited, and then you get rid of them. Why? Because you want to build your farm system? Like, Luis Arias had 2 years left on his deal. Like, it just makes no sense. Why would you trade him? Yeah. Like, it makes it just, I don't know, man. The Marlins are just such a dumb organization. They always, every time they have something good, they always ruin it. Like, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Like, it's a good trade for the Padres because they at least get a guy who will be on base, to lead off guy. But for the Marlins, it's just ridiculous what they're doing right now. Bruce Sherman, their owner, should sell the team, by the way. Like, you came in with a vision. Their owner, Bruce Sherman?
Oh, yeah. He was a part of that ownership group with Derek Jeter.
Yeah, now Derek Jeter's out too.
Yeah, the Marlins, I don't know what they're doing. They're not a team. They're just not a team that is good year in and year out. They're not the Atlanta Braves. They're not the Philadelphia Phillies.
No, they're not. And, they always, like, take one step forward and then 3 steps back. Like, it makes no sense what the Marlins are doing. Like, and Marlins fans should boycott that team. Like, that's why nobody shows up at their amazing ballpark. Like, I went to the ballpark in Miami.
Ballpark. I love Lone Depot Park. It is such a beautiful ballpark. I love that roof. You get to the beach, but the roof is always closed because it's always hot.
Very hot, and also what I don't like about what the Marlins did is they ruined the ballpark. Like they used to have a fish tank there. They had a statue of the Marlins, like the fish statue. Like that was pretty, very pretty. Like I think like that screams Miami for me. But yeah, I think the Marlins, they definitely should put that back.
Yeah, let's talk about your Phillies here. I mean, the Phillies I think my Dodgers helped you out in the standings because the Phillies are going to make the playoffs. Let's put it that way. But they're not going to win the division because Atlanta is so good on all facets.
Yeah, I mean, how about the Phillies? One of the best teams in all of baseball right now. Alec Boehm is hitting very well. The Phillies are 24-11. They started off bad, but now they're hot. They just took the first 3 games against the Giants. The rotation guys are pitching very well. Wheeler, Nola, they're dominating. Ranger Suarez dominated on Friday. Taijuan Walker was decent tonight. He pitched 6 1/3, gave up 5 hits, 3 runs, struck out 7. The bullpen's been all right, but the lineup has been mashing. Guys like Schwarber, Realmuto, Harper, Bohm, Marsh, Castellanos. They're all hitting, and they're scoring a lot of runs. So the bullpen doesn't have to come in tight situations. So yeah, it's very good right now for the Phillies. They play the Giants to wrap up that 4-game series tomorrow. Then they play the Blue Jays for 2 games in Philly, and then they play the Marlins. So Philadelphia.
I'm looking right now. I'm kind of looking right now who they play. So Toronto for 2, then they go to Miami, then they play the Mets. 2 at Citi Field, then 2 at Citizens Bank Park.
Yes, they do, and then they play with 2 with the Blue Jays, and then they have the Mets, the Nationals, and then they have a matchup which I think should have been last year's World Series in the Rangers and Phillies from Citizens Bank Park end of May. Like that should be so much fun there in Philly because the Phillies and Rangers, they always play each other very tough, and those 2 teams have very, very great lineups.
If you talk about the Phillies, I mean, we got to talk about Trey Turner. Do you think that is a worrisome injury for him because he's going to be out for a while? And I think Trey Turner is an important piece to this Phillies lineup because, in my opinion, he is the leadoff hitter for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely very sad and very upsetting because he's a very great hitter. This guy, I mean. Trey Turner was hitting .343 with 2 home runs.
Off to his best start than he had last year.
Yeah, off to a very good start. He was getting on base. He was hitting for power. Like he was what the Phillies expected him to be last year. So for him to get hurt, it's very unfortunate, and it's definitely a big blow because that lineup, even though it's deep, it could have gotten more deeper with Trey Turner at the top of the lineup after Kyle Schwarber. So yeah, it's a big blow for sure.
You still got Castellanos. You still got Harper. I also like the Whit Merrifield addition too because Whit Merrifield is an underrated player.
Yeah, Whit Merrifield has been decent so far. I think he's going to get hot soon. Nick Castellanos, sadly, is not off to a good start. I think he's hitting like 188, but I think he'll
find it. I think Nick Castellanos will find his footing.
Yeah, he'll find his footing. I agree with that. I don't think that he's going to be slumping a lot anytime soon. So, I think that for the Phillies – they'll be fine. I don't think that they'll be bad.
It's just get Trey Turner back to the most important run of the season.
Yes, exactly. For the Phillies, they're like the Dodgers and the Celtics. It's all about can they get to can they make a deep run in the playoffs and win the World Series?
Oh yeah, and then we got to talk about your A's here. I mean, they took 2 out of 3 from the Miami Marlins, and who would have thought the Oakland A's would be this good? But I also want to point this out there. John Heyman was talking about trading the A's trading closer Mason Miller at the deadline. My prediction is I don't think the A's will trade Mason Miller because they're going to get to Vegas, and I think that when they get to Vegas, they're going to be extending. They're going to be spending more money there.
First of all, let me address the Mason Miller trade rumors. If Billy Bean and the A's front office with David Force, if they even think about trading Mason Miller, they should be fired because this dude has 6 years of control left. He's one of the best closers in all of baseball by far. He's dominating. This guy throws like 100 to 105, and then if you can hit the fastball, how about a slider down and away to make you look like a fool? Like, this guy is one of the best closers in all of baseball, and this is his first year closing games for the Oakland A's, and he's looking like Mariano Rivera and Trevor Hoffman out there with how he's dominating. He's got I think he's got a 1.24 ERA in his last, I believe in his last 10 innings, he has a 0.00 ERA. Like, he's been unhittable so far. He's really, really good. Against the Yankees, he struck out Soto, Judge, and also Anthony Rizzo back to back to back. Against the Rangers, he struck out Simeon, Seager, and Carter back to back to back. So if the A's even dare to trade Mason Miller, David Force and Billy Bean should be fired. Like, you don't trade away a guy like that with 6 years of cheap control left, and you don't do that. Like, it makes no sense. Like, he's going to continue to get better and better and better, and he's already unhittable. So, like, if the A's trade Mason Miller, Loro, I'll stop watching baseball altogether because that'd just be utterly ridiculous if they end up trading him. So don't do it, Oakland. Don't you even think about doing it. And then as far as the A's overall as a team, I mean, I'm liking what I'm seeing, Loro. They're doing so well. The pitching is dominating. Guys like Sears, your boy Ross Stripling is actually having a renaissance in Oakland.
I also like Seth Brown, and I also like Brett Rooker. Brett Rooker's an all-star.
Brent Rooker's an all-star. He's been doing really well, piling up the hits and the power. Don't forget about a guy
Nick Allen.
Nick Allen got optioned to AAA, so I think his days in Oakland might be numbered, sadly.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he was hitting. I think he was hitting 160.
On the A's, you look at this young team. Yeah. I think Paul Blackburn is the ace.
Paul Blackburn's the ace. Yeah, he's doing very good. But the A's are doing well. They're 17-18. Who knows how they'll continue to do? But Zach Geloff's going to be coming back soon. Tyler Nevin, Phil Nevin's son, is actually doing very well, surprisingly. So yeah, the A's are doing very well.
Story Ruiz just got recalled, and I think he will find his ceiling. And then I think Lawrence Butler is going to be very good.
Yeah, I agree. Lowell, the question that I have for you is, we talk about Mason Miller, right? He's dominating as a closer. He's very unhittable right now for the A's. He was a starting pitcher last season, but they moved into the bullpen because he had elbow problems. Would you put him back as a starter, or do you keep him in the bullpen as the closer?
Keep him as the closer. He's really thriving in that role right now. He should be an all-star in that category.
Oh, I agree. I think Mason Miller should definitely, be kept in the bullpen. I think he's just so good in the bullpen, and why take him out? And I think you're right. I think he's going to be an all-star this year.
Well, I wonder if you were going to be working the game with the A's this week because they're playing the Texas Rangers. My question for you is, are you going to be working that series?
Yes, I will be, actually. I think we'll be working the game on Wednesday, so I'll be working at least one of those games. I can't wait.
I asked that because you get to see your boy Bruce Bochy.
I get to see Bruce Bochy. I get to see Steph Curry, the Steph Curry of baseball, and Corey Seager, your former Dodger. I get to see Evan Carter, Adolis Garcia. So, yeah, that'd be so much fun for sure. And both
the Rangers and the Texas Rangers are the new team to beat in the AL West.
They are, especially with the Astros struggling right now.
Look, the Houston Astros are going to find their footing again. I'm not giving up on their season just because they're bad right now. It's because they have too many injuries right now, and their rotation is kind of young.
They are, but I think when you look at this AL West, Oakland could be in the mix. Texas, Seattle, Houston eventually could also be in the mix. So I think it's going to be a very, very fun division to watch this year in the American League West.
Well, Wyatt Langford's going to be out for a little bit. I mean, I know you're bummed to not see him play, but I know you'll get to see guys like Evan Carter, Marcus. I mean, the Rangers have injuries like this every year, but they always find a way to stay the course.
Yeah, I think the Rangers are going to be fine. Langford, losing him hurts, but he was in a slump. But I think him being out for several weeks will help him try to get his swing back together. But Evan Carter's red.
Well, you also know that you're going to get Josh Young back from an injury.
I think he's coming back in June, right? I think he's coming back in June. So,
no, I mean, getting Josh Young back is going to really help this Rangers lineup get deeper because – and I also can't wait to get to see guys like Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer back because they're going to help the Texas Rangers out in a very big way.
Yeah, that rotation for the Rangers will get deeper. And also, they signed Johnny Cueto recently. I think he's going to be in the bullpen as like a long man. Michael Lorenzen has thrived. Tyler Maley's also coming back. So Nathan Eovaldi, I think he's on the injured list right now with a hamstring injury. So he should be coming back soon. But yeah, I mean, the Rangers rotation could be very, very scary like later on in October.
Yes, and you also talk about guys like Lowe, guys like Tavares. I mean, the Texas Rangers, the Texas Rangers are still a very good ball club, even though they had somewhat of a bad stretch. But, I mean, they just took 2 out of 3 from the Kansas City Royals. And you know the Kansas City Royals are going to be good, but they're just not there yet.
No, they're not. But that division is fun with the Twins, the Tigers, and the Royals all having winning records, and also the Guardians as well with Stephen Vogt managing them. Like it's very fun to watch, right?
No, I mean I always think the AL Central is just a one-sided division.
Yeah, no. But this year is actually very competitive, so I can't wait to see who wins that division. But yeah, Royals are going to be fine. They'll be good. That was a great series against Texas. The Rangers just came up clutch today. I watched that game. Nathaniel Lowe had a clutch hit to score the winning run. And then David Robertson shut it down in the bottom of the 10th. So he was very good. Kirby Yates was very good as well in the bullpen. But yeah, the Rangers, like, what a great series win. And I think the Rangers, they play the A's 4-game series because they have a doubleheader on Wednesday. So that should be fun. This is going to be a fun 4-game series between the A's and the Rangers, who are separated by just 1 game in that division. And then the Rangers have the Rockies, and then the Guardians, and then the Angels.
You talk about the Bruce Bochy effect that's had on the Texas Rangers. It's really helped.
Yeah, it has. They're winning the close games, which they didn't when Chris Woodward was the manager.
Bochy has his managing of his managing style is like, I mean, Bruce Bochy doesn't really manage by analytics. He uses
he doesn't. He manages with his gut, which is good.
Yes, he makes a move when he thinks it's best. Like, I'll give you an example, but by managing with his gut. I mean, pulling out a pitcher if it's a certain pitcher or something like that, like certain batter. Or I'm trying to think of, like, times that Bruce Bochy has managed with his gut, and he's done it a lot.
He has, and that's why he is a 4-time World Series champion, and he's been very good as a manager.
Yeah, and then you also talk about Stephen Kwan. He also has a hamstring injury. I don't think that's also worrisome, but I really think what's worrisome is Joe Musgrove being out for a long time, because Joe Musgrove, man, when he's healthy, he's something.
Yeah, Stephen Kwan, Joe Musgrove, Trey Turner, Wyatt Langford, they all have like some type of injury, hamstring. I think they'll all be fine. Musgrove with the elbow is worrisome because anytime you hear elbow, it automatically means Tommy John surgery a lot of the time. So that's definitely very worrisome. And he's already had, I think, one Tommy John already. So that is definitely something to keep an eye on. But in terms of what is like, in terms of like the four guys, who's the most like bigger loss? I probably would say it would be. I would probably say it would be Trey Turner with the Phillies, just because he's impacts them so much. He hits top of the lineup with next to Harper and Schwarber and Bohm and all the top guys they have. So losing him hurts a lot, and also. I think for Wyatt Langford, it really hurts too because it really is taking away some precious development time for him.
Yes, and then we got to talk about teams that you should be patient and panic with, because here's my question: for who should you be patient? Which team you should hit the panic button on, and which team you should hit the patient button on? More with the Houston Astros or the St. Louis Cardinals?
Ooh, patience with Houston. I think they'll get it together. Their offense is loaded. So the problem with them is their pitching staff. They got to make some additions in pitching at the trade deadline, because I just don't see, like, outside of Verlander, I really don't see a quality starter.
You got Valdez, too, and you also got McCullers potentially coming back midseason.
Yeah, those guys are going to come back. I think they should be fine, but panic with St. Louis. I mean, the Cardinals are 15-19. They had a terrible year last year. Remember, Paul Goldschmidt is a free agent after the season. So if they get off to a bad, like if they're off to a really bad start, I think they're going to trade him at the deadline. And Laurel, why did they give Ollie Marmol an extension? That is such a stupid move, man. That guy should have been fired last year by the Cardinals. He loses. He's like Darvin Ham. He's already lost the locker room. I don't know why they're keeping him. It makes no sense whatsoever. The Cardinals, panic for them because they're 15-19 and the schedule gets tougher with the Mets, the Brewers, they'll have the Angels. The Angels suck, but then the Red Sox and Orioles, so they could definitely be behind the 8 ball even more in a couple of weeks.
Well, Paul Goldschmidt is only 36 years old. So Are you saying that the Cardinals should keep him next year, or they should not?
No, I think he's going to get traded because I don't see the Cardinals turning their season around. I think that they're going to trade him at the deadline.
If he is traded at the trade deadline, where do you think he goes?
That's tough. Who needs a first baseman?
No, I mean, the Dodgers don't need him because...
No. You have Freddie Freeman already.
No, because I wonder if the Cardinals have started contract talks with Paul Goldschmidt, but I did hear before the season started that John Mozeliak said that an extension for Goldie might have to wait.
Yeah, and now they're off to a bad start, so that's not good.
Because look, I'm looking at their roster right now. Like, Nolan Gorman can always move to first base if Paul Goldschmidt's not there, because you still got Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, you still have would Nolan Arenado be traded, though? That's the big question, too.
No, I don't think Nolan Arenado will be traded, because Nolan Arenado is I think he's very important to that franchise, and I think he's going to be a key player for them for a long time.
Yeah, I can see it. I'm trying to see their roster.
Like, Wilson Contreras has had a much better year.
No, he has. Would you trade Sonny Gray, though, even though you signed him to a big deal?
No.
If the season goes bad?
No. I mean, the Cardinals needed to get the rotation right, and they did so. And Sonny Gray, but I feel like that if you look at the Cardinals roster, I mean, they got Lance Lynn for nothing. I mean, Steve Matz is he's just a guy that is very hittable.
He is. And, I think when you look at some of the guys that could be traded, call me crazy. Kyle Gibson, yeah.
I also think and then they just got Lars Nootbaar back. And I think Lars Nootbaar is a big part of their outfield.
Here's the thing. If the Cardinals season goes bad, right? Like, let's say that we're sitting here at the trade deadline and the Cardinals are going to be sellers. Don't be shocked if Lars Nootbaar goes to the Dodgers. Because remember, he's got a really close, tight relationship with Shohei Ohtani. And the Dodgers do need some outfield help. Like,
not really, because Andy Pages has become a star, and we're not going to trade Andy Pages. And we have Teoscar Hernandez too.
Yeah, that's true. But you could also always rotate at DH as well. So you could what
if we give up James Outman for Lars Nootbaar, then Lars Nootbaar would be in center field.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it because Lars Nootbaar is very talented. He's young, and plus he's got that relationship with Shohei, and also Yoshinobu Yamamoto from those guys playing in the for Japan in the World Baseball Classic. So if the Cardinals sell, I could see Lars Nootbaar going to the Dodgers. And then I'm trying to.
He's from here. He's from El Segundo.
Oh yeah, that'd be a perfect fit too. Perfect fit.
And I don't know how much longer he has on his contract.
Yeah, I'm trying to look that up right now. Brendan Donovan is also a guy that could be dealt to. Burleson maybe. Brandon Crawford, sadly, Laurel, he might get DFA'd. I mean, he's not been good for them.
No, I mean, I think I'm trying to see what Lars Nootbaar's contract runs until, because Lars Nootbaar, he's not a free agent until 2028.
Yeah, so you would have him for a very long time. So yeah, you could definitely go get him for sure.
He's only 26 years old, so
yeah,
I'm not saying he could be a building block, but I just don't know if he's gonna get traded or not.
Well, I think if the Cardinals do become sellers, they're gonna trade a lot of players. Like Kyle Gibson, I think will be dealt. Lance Lynn might be dealt. Tommy Edman might be traded. Alec Burleson, Brendan Donovan, Goldschmidt will probably be dealt if that's the case, because Goldschmidt wants to play for a contender.
But Mosaic might not. John Mosaic will probably say that we're not going to sell or buy.
Yeah. I mean, also, if things go bad for the Cardinals, I don't know how Ollie Marmol survives that, honestly. I don't know how he'll survive it.
Is he one of the managers you think he's on the hot seat?
Yeah, I do. Because the Cardinals are like the Lakers. It's always championship or bust for them. So if Ollie Marmol, and plus the Cardinals, they literally just lost the series to the White Sox. Like, how do you lose the series?
They should win that series.
Yeah, they should win that series. So
they should have swept them.
I agree. I think that's why I think Marmol's on the hot seat. The Cardinals have been really
you don't lose to a team like the White Sox, because the Chicago White Sox, I mean, they traded Dylan Cease for a reason. So they basically are not going to be trading everybody. They're not trading Luis. They're not going to be trading Luis Robert. Because the White Sox are committed to building their team around Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But Robert is hurt right now, and I'm like, why do you beat a team without Luis Robert?
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
Because I think Pedro Grifol is also on the hot seat.
I don't think he's on the hot seat. I think he's going to be gone. I think he's guaranteed to be gone at the end of the season because I
don't know why the White Sox even hired him in the first place, because Pedro Grifol, I don't think he was the right fit for that personnel.
No, he should have gone to a team that's rebuilding. Like, he should not have gone to a White Sox team that wanted to try to make the playoffs. Like, that makes no sense. The White Sox needed an experienced manager. That's what they needed. I don't know why they went out and got him.
Talk about Ron Washington. I mean, even though the Angels are without Mike Trout, I mean, I think Ron Washington is the right fit for the Angels, because he's got a young team around him with like Zach Neto, Nolan Shanawa, Logan O'Hoppe, Joe Adell. He's going to develop those guys.
Yeah, Ron Washington, even though the results haven't been as expected, Ron Washington has done a good job with the Angels this season.
He's a no-nonsense manager.
He is. And I think the Cardinals would, I mean, not the Cardinals, the Angels would be foolish to fire him because he's changing the culture there slowly in Anaheim. So I think he's doing a good job.
It's not, it's the results are not there yet in Anaheim based on what I see because the team is still relatively young. They don't have Shohei. Mike Trout is hurt. Anthony Rendon again. What are your thoughts on Anthony Rendon right now?
It's a terrible situation. It's a toxic mess. Like he's hurt. His attitude's not good. He's making terrible quotes. Like he's also a cancer in the locker room reportedly. So yeah, I mean, you know, for the Angels, they can't cut him because they have 4 years and like I think he's got what like 4 years and something million.
They got to suffer with that contract, and that's a foolish. And Ari Moreno is going to have to pay up for that.
Yeah, like he has to. They're not going to cut Anthony Rendon. You're going to have to live with Anthony Rendon for like at least the next 3 to 4 years.
You're going to have to live with him and Mike Trout for the next year or two for a long time.
Yeah,
and you're not going to get results right away.
No, I completely agree with that. You're not.
You're going to be paying those guys. You're not going to trade Mike Trout. You're not going to trade Anthony Rendon. I feel like Ron Washington, I think he knows what he's doing with both of those guys, but it's just not that they just keep getting hurt. Even though Ron Washington knows what he's doing with Anthony Rendon and Mike Trout.
Yeah, that's why I think they should keep him because I think that he's doing a good job changing the culture there. But your guys all hurt. Like Trout's hurt.
It's not like how like it was not like how Phil Nevin was last year.
Oh yeah, Phil Nevin was a disaster. Like that was just awful for the Angels.
But Washington has really changed the complexion of the Angels. I mean, even though he's on a 2-year contract with the Angels, I feel like the Angels are going to extend him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he will. He'll be extended for sure.
Because I think Perry Van Azgen really likes Ron Washington.
Yeah, they have a relationship from their days in Texas.
Texas and Atlanta.
Yep, exactly. Texas and Atlanta.
So that's why I think that Ron Washington is a guy that I think is a no-nonsense guy. I mean, he's like Dan Campbell in the MLB. I mean, he's coming into a situation that he has to deal with a bad roster, and then it's going to get better.
Yeah, well, they're rebuilding, so you can't expect them to like win right away. They're rebuilding right now. They're going to be tearing it down, and they're going to rebuild, and we'll see what happens in a couple of years.
Well, we got to talk about the NFL draft. I mean, first we talk about the Bears drafting Caleb Williams at 1. I'm very excited about Caleb Williams coming to the Chicago Bears because I think he's going to. I think the Bears offense is going to look so much fun now with Caleb Williams under center than Justin Fields. No disrespect to Justin Fields. I've just felt like the Bears coached him very badly. But with Caleb Williams, I'm expecting results right away for that Bears offense.
The Chicago Bears might make the playoffs next season, Laurel. I'm not surprised that he got drafted there. Everybody like with a fully functioning brain or even half a functioning brain could have thought that he was going to get drafted there. I think Caleb Williams is in a great position to succeed because look at the guys that they have. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. They also have a great tight end in Cole Kmet, the running back there. I'm trying to remember his name, but
are you talking about Khalil Herbert?
What's that?
Are you talking about Khalil Herbert?
Yeah, Khalil Herbert. So he's got weapons. He's got a great offensive line. He doesn't have to do too much. He's going to be protected. I think Caleb Williams is in a great position to succeed next season with the Chicago Bears. The only problem with the Bears is their defense. Did they get their defense fixed? I don't know. Matt Eberflus, once he took over play calling duties, the defense was so much better under Matt Eberflus. So for the Bears, I think they can make the playoffs next season, and they have to start winning because Matt Eberflus is on the hot seat there in Chicago. But great pick for Chicago. I think it's a great move, and I think the Bears have found their franchise quarterback for like the next 10 years.
I also want to say this too, Isaiah. I predict that 5 rookie quarterbacks that I predicted will be starters week 1. We'll have to break that down as we talk about this NFL draft class.
Yeah, we'll do. I mean, we'll do an NFL draft recap show on the Extra Point coming up either next week or the week after. But yeah, it's. I mean, I think that Caleb Williams is definitely going to be a starter. You know, I don't know about Bo Nix because he's kind of raw.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. So let's
we'll
talk about Jaden Daniels next. I mean, the Washington Commanders, I think he's going to be a fantastic fit in the nation's capital. He's got a great offense to work with. Cliff Kingsbury is going to do such a phenomenal job developing Jaden Daniels. Dan Quinn is going to focus on the defense. The Washington Commanders offense is going to be fun with Jaden Daniels under center. You better predict that the Washington Commanders will be better than the New York Giants.
Dude, the New York Giants are going to be atrocious next season, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the Commanders. The Commanders are going to be good. I mean, not good, but I like this pick. You know, Jaden Daniels is kind of like a taller Russell Wilson, kind of like Kyler Murray. I think he's going to thrive under Cliff Kingsbury's offense. He's really good at running around, making plays when it's not there, like improvising. I like this pick. I think that the Commanders have found their franchise quarterback. And I think he'll do really good with the Commanders. He's definitely in a great situation with Dan Quinn, good ownership group, and also Cliff Kingsbury, who's a really dynamic play caller. And he's always had mobile quarterbacks, so he'll be able to take advantage of Jaden Daniels' strength and make him into a really good quarterback. So I like this pick a lot.
I also want to say that I think that Caleb Williams is going to start week 1. I think Jaden Daniels will also start week 1 too.
Yeah, I think he will. I don't even know who the Commanders have as their quarterbacks outside of Jaden Daniels right now.
Mariota from Oregon, but Mariota's just a backup.
Yeah, Mariota's just a backup. So, yeah, he's definitely going to start week 1. I think Jaden Daniels is definitely starting week 1.
Let's talk about the guy that my Pats drafted. I'm very, very excited about this new era in New England. Drake May from North Carolina. He comes from playing for Mac Brown of North Carolina to be the franchise quarterback for the New England Patriots, wearing number 10. I think this is an upgrade over Mac Jones because I was hoping Mac Jones would work out in the post-Brady era, but obviously things weren't the best there just because our coaching did a bad job with him. It started all with the whole Matt Patricia thing, calling offensive plays, Bill Belichick sabotaging him. Now you're in this new era. There's new blood in New England, especially Jerod Mayo, now the head coach. And now you got a rookie quarterback to pair with the rookie head coach in Jerod Mayo. I think that this pick for the Patriots, that he's their guy. I think that Jacoby Brissett's going to be a good backup and mentor to Drake May. But Isaiah, I also think Drake May is going to be a week 1 starter for the Patriots.
I love this pick for the New England Patriots. I think that they got a dynamic, explosive quarterback who's very good throwing the football and also pretty good on his feet too. So I like this pick for the Patriots. The thing with Mac Jones is he was decent at throwing. He was never really good at running, and that's what you need to be successful in the NFL these days. Is you got to have a guy that's really good at throwing and also really good on his feet and can improvise. So I love this pick for the Patriots. I think the Patriots hit a grand slam by drafting Drake May. The problem with this, though, Loro, is that they need to improve their weapons. Like, you got to get a better offensive line. You got to get a better.
The Patriots have offensive line help in the draft. They got some good receivers like Jalen Polk. They also got Ross from UCF. That's why I'm thinking that the Patriots aren't messing around in building this offense.
Yeah, but I also think you need a number 1. Like, if you can get Brandon Ayuk, that would be amazing because you need a guy that's
I think Jalen Polk will be the number 1.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I think for the Patriots, it comes down to coaching, which they got right with Jerod Mayo. Alex Van Pelt, I think, is your new offensive coordinator. He's really good at developing young quarterbacks and working with quarterbacks, so I think that's really good for Drake May. And also, I think the weapons are definitely better than when Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi was there. But now New England's got 5 quarterbacks, so I think you're definitely going to have to
sadly get rid of two of them because you got Drake May, you got Joe Milton, who you drafted, but he's going to be a backup. You got Jacoby Brissett, you got Zappi, and you got, I believe you also have Nathan O'Rourke. Is that his name?
Yeah, we're not going to keep everybody, but do you expect Drake May to start week 1? I do. I think so because it's a new era. Go ahead.
I think he will because I think that you look at the quarterbacks, like the fans are going to be wanting him to start. And also, if you look at the quarterbacks, like outside of Zappi and maybe Brissett, like there's really no like starting quarterbacks. Zappi's okay. Like he's not a game changer, but I think for Zappi, he'd be better off in another spot just because I think that he should be like a starting quarterback in this league. Like he proved it last year. They ran the offense very, very well. So I think he should go to another situation. Like that's why I've been wanting him in San Fran because I think him and Kyle Shanahan as a backup, I think he would do wonders with the Niners.
Oh, yeah. And then we got to talk about Joe Alt from the Chargers picking at 5. But before that, we got to talk about Marvin Harrison and what he brings to the Arizona Cardinals. Man, Kyler Murray is going to have a number 1 receiver there.
You know, we were doing our draft show when that pick came on, and, you know, everybody compared him to Larry Fitzgerald. And, you know, he's a sure-handed receiver. He doesn't get hurt. I don't want to jinx him, but he doesn't get hurt. He's a guy that the quarterback can depend on, and that's what Kyler needs. Kyler doesn't have a number 1 anymore after DeAndre Hopkins left, so now he gets that in Marvin Harrison Jr., and that guy was making really good catches after really good catches after really good catches, and that he's definitely going to help the offense and Jonathan Gannon and the Cardinals for sure.
Well, and then you're also talking about Joe Alt. I mean, I like this pick by the Chargers because you're going to be doing a mix of passing the football and also running the football because you're going to need a good offensive lineman to open up lanes for J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. And I think that this is a good fit for the Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh led offense in Los Angeles. You're on mute.
Yeah, I was on mute. Sorry about that. But like I was saying, I am not surprised they went this pick. A lot of people were saying receiver, or some people were saying something else. Like, I'm not surprised because this is Jim Harbaugh. At Michigan, they were physical. They won on the offensive line and the defensive line. So I knew that the Chargers were going to go offensive line to help Justin Herbert and protect him and try to win on the line of scrimmage. Now the Chargers have a really dynamic offensive line with Rashawn Slater as your left tackle and then Joe Alt as your right tackle. They beefed it up there. They want to run the football. They want to be a power physical team. This is a first step in that direction. So great pick by the Chargers.
No, the Chargers are going to be fun to watch with Jim Harbaugh. I'm very excited about Jim Harbaugh here in LA. I've always been a fan of Jim Harbaugh. I mean, I never thought he would leave Michigan, but I thought like this was the right decision for him to come to LA and be the Chargers head coach. He is. Jim Harbaugh is going to sell tickets at SoFi Stadium.
Yes, he will, and they're going to win a lot there with the Chargers. So, Charger fans, man, enjoy this season. It's going to be fun.
I'm not saying they're going to be as good as Kansas City, but I think Kansas City is still the better team in that division. I always still think Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid, they're the class of the West.
They are. And I think that, with the Chargers, listen, the Chargers, I think will get there to Kansas City's level because they have a dynamic quarterback in Justin Herbert. They need to work on the receivers. But that offensive line, that defensive line with Bosa and Mack, they're going to be scary. And this is what the Chargers needed. Good coaching. And they have it now with Jim Harbaugh. So I'm excited for that.
Brandon Staley was an utter disaster with the Chargers.
He was awful. And I never my Niners too. Ugh.
Well, he's a defensive coach, so you don't have to really worry about him running the offense and all that, because you got Kyle Shanahan that's running the show on offense with Brock Purdy, McCaffrey, and guys like Ayuk and Samuel, who I'm not surprised that John Lynch wanted to keep them around because he thinks they're a big part of this championship core, along with George Kittle.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised they kept him, but yeah, I mean Brandon Staley, we'll see what happens with his defense this upcoming year, but he was bad with the Chargers, and I mean Jim Harbaugh coming in, he's going to be a massive upgrade over Brandon Staley.
Well, I get it. I'm not really a fan of why the Falcons did this, but they got Michael Penix Jr. at 8. I felt like the Raiders or the Seahawks should have gotten him. I'm like, Seahawks, what are you doing? That guy was available. You should have taken him because you're not starting Geno Smith or Sam Howell.
My thing was, why did the Falcons even take him? Like, you just gave Kirk Cousins 4 years, $200-something million, and now you're going to get a quarterback? Like, it makes no sense. Like,
maybe to like when Kirk Cousins, because Kirk Cousins, his contract is 4 years, but it doesn't have guaranteed money beyond 25.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, I still think you should have got something that you could win with this year with that pick, because like Kirk Cousins, like you have him. Penix is not going to play this year or next year, so we'll see what happens. But I don't know what the Falcons are doing. Like they're kind of like the Marlins. They just kind of make moves that you're just like, what? You got him? Like it makes no sense. But in terms of like the Raiders and the Seahawks, yeah, the Raiders got screwed because I think had the Falcons drafted someone else and Penix was available, they would have definitely taken him. And the Seahawks, sadly, Laurel, they're gonna ride with Geno Smith or Sam Howell, and yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
Now Seattle's probably going to be bad. I think Arizona got better this offseason than Seattle did.
I agree. I think they did too.
I mean, I predict 5 rookie quarterbacks that will be starting in week 1. Another guy that I expect to start is Bo Nix from the Denver Broncos. I really like this pick because Sean Payton gets his next Drew Brees. Sean Payton can finally get a quarterback that he can develop and call plays for. But I also think that the Denver Broncos, I think they're going to be a much better team with Bo Nix. But although you think he's so raw, I'm like, when you think, are you saying that you don't think Bo Nix is going to start? Because who are you going to start if it's not Bo Nix? If it's Jarrett Stidham or Zach Wilson, there is no way in the world the Denver Broncos are going to start those guys.
Well, I could see him starting Zach Wilson because the thing with Zach Wilson and Bo Nix is they're both short quarterbacks who have very massive cannon arms, and they're both kind of similar. They make plays with their feet as well. So I could see him starting Zach Wilson while Bo Nix sits on the bench and learns the NFL. But yeah, I mean, I think that I'm not surprised Sean Payton took Bo Nix because he reminds me of a more athletic Drew Brees. Short quarterback, cannon arm, can make plays with his legs. That's something that Drew didn't have later on in his career, but that's what Sean Payton likes, those short quarterbacks with those cannon arms. I think that, Sean Payton will do great with Bo Nix, and his offense will be more explosive as Nix can make plays with his legs. But I think Bo Nix, Laurel, he needs time to develop a little bit. So I think they probably will sit him for half the year. They're not going to be good anyway. So, like, I think the Broncos, if they sit him for half a year, like, I don't think they'll be doing much harm, to be honest with you.
I think Denver Bronco fans would want to see Bo Nix start week 1. That's why I think he's going to be the week 1 starter over guys like Zach Wilson or Jarrett Stidham, because I also think that like when you look at the offense for the Denver Broncos, they also drafted Troy Franklin too, his Oregon teammate, and I want to see both of them on the field right away.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they could do that. I wouldn't be shocked either way, but Bo Nix, Troy Franklin, like, that's something that will be special for Denver, having that quarterback wide receiver connection, Sean Payton calling the plays. I think that Denver is set up for a good.
Oh, and you also got guys like, who I think Bo Nix is going to have fun throwing the football to? Cortland Sutton and a healthy Tim Patrick.
Yeah, those are very dependable receivers. So he's definitely gonna have he's got weapons. That's what I'll say. He has weapons. For Denver, it's all about the offensive line. Can they get that offensive line fixed is the bigger question.
Oh, I think they can. I mean, when you look at the offensive line for the Denver Broncos, they got to make sure Garrett Bowles is healthy.
Yes, Garrett Bowles needs to be healthy. Mike McGlinchey needs to be effective because he wasn't that good. He led the NFL in giving up sacks. So, he needs to be better. But in terms of I think Bo Nix, if he does start, here's the thing with Bo Nix. He can make plays with his legs, which will help him if the offensive line breaks down.
Yeah, that's why I'm predicting 5 rookie quarterbacks that will be starting week 1, and one of them is Bo Nix, along with May, Daniels, and Caleb Williams, and then the other quarterback that I'm predicting to start out of this rookie class is J.J. McCarthy from the Minnesota Vikings, who was selected to be the successor for Kirk Cousins. You remember when you used to say the Minnesota Vikings were frauds? And I'm like, now the Vikings are going to be relevant. They're going to set their own identity now.
Laura, I'll say this. First of all, Steven, if you're watching, calm down, buddy. Calm down on all this Super Bowl talk. He was talking about the Vikings are going to go to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl in the next couple of years. Calm down, okay? Calm down, please. J.J. McCarthy is a good quarterback, but he's not that game changer that's going to lead you to the Super Bowl. He might be great. Who knows? But with him and Justin Jefferson, I think that they're going to be pretty good. Aaron Jones, sadly, is washed up, but he can still depend on him in the running game. The question with the Vikings is not the offense. It's the defense. Last year, the defense was very slow. They're very old, so they did make some moves on the defensive side of the ball, but we'll see how that happens or how that is with Brian Flores. But I think I like the pick. I mean, I think J.J. McCarthy will be good. The only problem with the Vikings is the defense. Can they get that defense to be one of the best defenses in the NFL? We'll see.
I think Kevin O'Connell finally gets his own quarterback in J.J. McCarthy.
Yes, he does. And J.J. McCarthy's got a good arm. He's very good at going through his reads. The only problem is at Michigan, he didn't have to do too much. So he didn't have to lead the team down the field. They had a great running game and a great offensive line. So we'll see what happens in the NFL. But he's definitely set up for success with Justin Jefferson and also Aaron Jones, who you can lean on to start.
Did you agree with my sentiment that I think 5 rookie quarterbacks from this year's class will be starters week 1?
So you have Caleb. Yeah, Caleb's going to start.
Then Jaden Daniels. Drake May.
Those 3 are definitely going to start. JJ's going to start.
And then I picked Bo Nix over Zach Wilson because I think Bo Nix, I think he's going to learn the playbook right away in OTAs, training camp. And I think Sean Payton is going to be very eager to start him right away.
So I agree with you on 4. Bo Nix, for me, is 50-50 because I could see him being benched to start the season, but I also could see him starting. So that's 50-50 right there.
Because when I get Madden, I'm definitely going to start Bo Nix at quarterback for the Denver Broncos.
Oh, I don't blame you because we saw Zach Wilson. He's a disaster, sadly. And who knows how he's going to – yeah.
Zach Wilson or Jarrett Stidham are not starting because – they're both guys that I can't trust.
No, I can't trust them either. I honestly cannot.
That's why I'm eager to see Bo Nix on the field right away because Sean Payton is going to be doing the play calling, and I think Bo Nix is going to really thrive under that Sean Payton offense in Denver. And I think the Denver Broncos are going to be a solid team next year.
No, they are. They're going to be a solid. They're going to be a solid team, but they're not on Kansas City or the Chargers level, sadly.
No, they're not on that level. But Sean Payton has already changed the complexion of the Denver Broncos.
Oh yeah, Sean Payton is he was a great hire for them. I love that.
Russell Wilson didn't really thrive there.
No, Russell Wilson wasn't the kind of quarterback that Sean Payton likes.
Yeah, it wasn't really his fault, but But the reason why I have 5 rookie quarterbacks is because I really like all 5 of them. I think that if Michael Penix was on a different team than the Falcons, then I would have had 6.
Yeah, I mean, if he was on the Raiders, he would start. If he was on Seattle, he would start, but not on the Falcons because they just paid Kirk Cousins a lot of money.
Let me tell you another. I mean, let's talk about some other takeaways from the draft. I mean, let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs getting the fastest man in the combine, Xavier Worthy. I mean, DBs are going to have a nightmare with this Kansas City offense.
Yeah, when that pick happened, I think me and Ben were the only ones on our draft show, and I was absolutely upset with that because I was like, man, I can't believe that the Kansas City Chiefs just – here's the thing, Laurel. The Bills, they needed a receiver. They had the pick in front of Kansas City, and for some reason they traded that pick to Kansas City and let Kansas City take the receiver that Buffalo needed. Like, it makes no sense. Like, what are the Bills doing?
Got a receiver. They got Keon Coleman from Florida State, and I think Keon Coleman will be very decent.
He will be, but why do you let the Chiefs get Xavier Worthy? Like, the DBs are definitely going to –
he's going to be he's the next Tyreek Hill there.
Yeah, they got the next Tyreek Hill. That's what I was going to say. With Travis Kelce there, Patrick Mahomes throwing him the football, like, it's going to be scary in Kansas City.
I think Hollywood Brown will be a reclamation project.
Oh, yeah. He will be.
I think he's going to be a better fit in Kansas City than the teams that he was on.
Yeah, no, he will be definitely with Mahomes throwing him the football. Like, that offense,
I think Hollywood Brown is going to be I think he's going to mesh well with Mahomes than guys like Lamar, Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that he will be, and that's why the offense is going to be scary good this season.
Yeah, that offense is going to be fun. I can't wait to see what that offense is going to be about because that Kansas City offense is going to be good. But I also wanted to ask you about Keon Coleman. Do you really think he's going to be a good fit for the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, I think he will be. I think he will be good for the Bills. I still don't know why they traded away Stephon Diggs because he was an electric receiver. But yeah, I think he will be good with Josh Allen. But I just don't understand why the Chiefs or the Bills traded with the Chiefs to let the Chiefs get Xavier Worthy. Like, that makes no sense. Like, that they made Kansas City even more dynamic.
Kansas City is more dynamic. You're
totally
right about that. And then let's talk about the Jaguars. They got – I mean, what did you think of their draft? And they also got Brian Thomas Jr. for Trevor Lawrence.
I think it was all right. I mean, you have so many receivers and you got another one. I can't blame them.
They don't have Calvin Ridley anymore.
No, he's in Tennessee now. Yeah, he's in Tennessee. That's right.
I felt like the Jaguars should have won the division last year. They didn't deserve to collapse like that just because Trevor Lawrence was doing everything he could. But last year, he was just hurt the last part of the year. And I'm like, you're not going to make the playoffs with a hurt Trevor Lawrence.
No, you're not. And I think the Jaguars are going to be a lot better this upcoming year than a lot of people think. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, this is C.J. Stroud's division. Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars, listen, are going to have something to say about that. I promise you that.
No, because that's the team I always love talking to you about, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yep, the Jags are going to be good. I think the Jags, they fixed the offensive line, fixed their defense. They also
and I know, Isaiah, you love that team.
Yes, I do. I definitely do.
Because the reason why I brought that up was because I remember when Trevor Lawrence was drafted, you wanted them to win the division with Urban Meyer, and it did not work out. Urban Meyer was a mess.
He was terrible. Yep, he was terrible as a coach.
He was but I like Doug Peterson in Jacksonville because Doug Peterson is a quarterback whisperer, and Doug Peterson is making Trevor Lawrence look like a stud.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I think that Doug Peterson, he's definitely a great coach. He's going to make Trevor Lawrence into a stud. He's going to help shape Trevor Lawrence. The reason why they lost last year is because, or they didn't make the playoffs, is because the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence was hurt. So he got hurt, and sadly everything went down the tubes. But the Jags are going to be fine. I don't have any worry about the Jags.
Well, because it's not really C.J. Stroud's division. I mean, the Texans are going to challenge the Jaguars.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think DeMeco Ryans has really changed the complexion of the Houston Texans and what they're all about. And I really think that DeMeco Ryans he's proven to be the right fit as the Houston Texans head coach.
Oh, he's definitely really good.
Because he's very caring. He's a no-nonsense guy. And he's not like the head coaches from the Texans from the past that made Houston a laughing stock.
No, I agree. I completely agree. I think that he's definitely a great fit for them.
Oh yeah, and C.J. Stroud and I think Houston's going to be a team that you can't really underestimate. But but I also think the AFC is going to be tough as a whole. But I mean, for my draft winner here, my one draft winner that I'm really impressed with is the Chicago Bears. They got Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams in the same round. I'm telling you, that offense is going to be fun to watch in Chi-Town.
Yeah, that's a good choice. For my winners from the draft, there's a lot of good ones. For my winners from the draft, you know what? I'm gonna go with. Oh man, this is very tough. Winners. I mean, I'm gonna go with. You know what? I'm gonna go with the Commanders because I like what they did. They got their franchise quarterback in Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to be a terrific fit there with Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury. I think that offense will be very explosive right off the bat. So I got them. And then the Jets. The Jets, they needed offensive line help. Well, they got it. They passed up Brock Bowers. They got their offensive tackle from Penn State to help beef up that offensive line and protect Aaron Rodgers. I like what the Jets did. And they got another quarterback to add insurance in case Aaron Rodgers goes down again. So I like what the Jets did in this NFL draft.
My loser has to be I have two: the Atlanta Falcons and the Seattle Seahawks and the Raiders. I mean, I say that because I think Aiden O'Connell will work out, but a lot of people are unsure about Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, he's kind of a mid quarterback. So I think the Raiders definitely got screwed when the Falcons picked Penix. I thought that they definitely would have taken him had he been available, or Bo Nix. But in terms of my loser, you know what? I'm gonna probably have to say my biggest loser is the Dallas Cowboys. Like, I don't know what the Cowboys did during this draft. Like, they brought back Zeke. Their picks didn't really make sense. They're not going to extend Dak Prescott. Like, Jerry Jones has definitely lost his mind. And also, Laurel, the New York Giants. Yeah, they got Malik Neighbors, but now you're going to have to – Laurel, you talk about the quarterbacks, right, with Denver being Bo Nix and Zach Wilson. I heard the Giants are going to have a quarterback competition. And the two guys battling it out? Daniel Jones and Drew Lock. Yuck. Like, I think
would you want to see Drew Lock get a shot at being a franchise quarterback?
Yeah, like I think Daniel Jones is like, he's coming off an Achilles injury or an ACL injury. Like, it's not we know what he can do, and it's not impressive. So, and they went and got a receiver. Like, you don't need a receiver. What you need is an offensive line and a quarterback. So I don't like what the Giants did. Laurel, I know Brian Daboll is your guy. I would not be shocked if he gets let go if the Giants have another bad year.
He might have to be a scapegoat if the Giants have another losing season.
And also, here's the thing. Guess who's out there on the head coaching market for next season? Your coach.
Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick. That's why I think a lot of these coaches could be on the hot seat because Bill Belichick is available.
like the only reason why I may not want Bill Belichick to be a head coach again is because his general manager skills have kind of deteriorated.
Yeah, but I think he wants to coach to get Don Shula's record. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does become a head coach again. I don't want him to coach the Giants. No way. Do not go and coach the Giants. Like that would absolutely taint his legacy. If I'm Bill Belichick, if the Cowboys either miss the playoffs or lose early, I think that's the perfect job for Bill Belichick. Because imagine Loro with Dak Prescott, Tony, Ezekiel Elliott. You got CeeDee Lamb. The offense will be like perfect. You don't have to fix the offense. The defense, you have Micah Parsons there. Imagine Bill Belichick working with Micah freaking Parsons. Like, dang.
Yes, Bill Belichick being the Cowboys head coach would be weird for me to see it, but I think that Jerry Jones wants a Super Bowl winning head coach in Bill Belichick.
I agree. And imagine Bill Belichick and Jerry Jones working together. Oh, my God. That'd be like must-watch TV.
What do you think about that potential fit in Big D?
I think they should have I think he should have been the head coach this year. I think Mike McCarthy should have been fired. I don't know why he kept his job. Like, you lost to the Packers and you got blown out in that game. You were losing by like 30 at one point. So I think Jerry should have made that move this year. But I sadly I don't see the Cowboys doing anything next year, and I think that they'll bring in Bill Belichick after the season to try to win a Super Bowl for Dallas.
Anyways, Isaiah, it's good for me to be back here. But I mean, final thoughts is that it was a great show. We had a lot to talk about with these Lakers and what they need to do in the offseason, and telling you how I felt like why Darvin Ham wasn't the right fit for the Lakers in the first place. And I'm hoping, and I do hope it's Mike Budenholzer.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot to talk about, like you mentioned, Loro. It was great to have you back on the show. We've both been very busy, so we haven't been able to do a lot of shows. But, man, we were great to be back and a lot of stuff to talk about. And I can't wait to talk. I can't wait for the next show where we'll talk about the NFL draft. We might do a extra point maybe in like next week or 2 weeks from now. Who knows? But also the NFL schedule is going to be released soon, so we'll talk about that on an extra point. But, yeah, it's a great show. And, the next show I think we'll talk about is we'll probably get some guys that the Lakers are interviewing, so we'll see. We'll talk about that and much more. So what a show tonight, and appreciate all the fans for tuning in.
Anyways, that being said here, that's going to do it here. And Isaiah, go ahead and play the intro and the outro, and then we'll end the show.
All right, have a good night, everybody. Stay safe and stay healthy, and we'll see you next time. But I said, if you gave me Mahomes, if you gave me Lamar Jackson with his great legs and Mahomes' great arm, or you gave me Baker Mayfield, who would I want? I would want Baker Mayfield, and the reason why is because Baker Mayfield.
I really think that now this is the worst case scenario for the San Francisco 49ers, is that they're going to have to cut ties with Jimmy Garoppolo if I were them. What? Oh my God! Whoa, man!
In any event, Kyle Gibson is definitely my NL Cy Young Award winner. Rock on, Giddy. And even
no way! Oh my God!